Recording start with a roach in my mouth. Hi guys!
Assadas!
And welcome to Deciphered Podcast number 24. I didn't turn my volume down. How are you doing, Roberto?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Living the dream.
Excellent. You sound super enthused.
I fucking well am.
You fucking well are.
It's Monday. What could go worse? What could go better?
Well, speaking.
It's been a whirlwind weekend.
Yep, no doubt. But it's good that we're here on a Monday with such a lovely topic that's sure to warm the hearts.
Yes.
But first,
The news! Starting off as we mean to go on, is the unfortunate death of All That Remains guitarist Ollie Herbert.
Yeah, very sudden as well, and fucking really young. Really, really young.
Yeah.
I believe 44?
Yeah, so, yes, I believe it was 44. He has no official death causes to come out. The treating is non-suspicious for now, but he was found dead in a pool.
In a pond, yeah.
Pond, sorry, yes.
Yeah, on his own property though. So there has to be, like, some consideration has to be paid for that as well.
For sure.
But yeah, very strange. The weirdest thing for me is that his wife isn't sort of treating it too suspiciously either. So,
It's weird, yeah.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, obviously, it's just weird. It is very weird for me that somebody of his age, and it's not like in the press or anything that she's come out and said, like, oh, well, he did have this condition, he did have heart problems or whatever like that. It's literally just been like, yeah, it was an accident. Okay. And that's all we know about that so far.
Weird, isn't it?
Massively. Yeah.
More on that. Well, go on, say it.
More on that story as it develops.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, really. I suppose though, yeah, it will literally be one of those things that we'll perhaps update you guys as we learn more.
Yes. Moving swiftly on to bigger things.
Hey!
The Manson Dildo has been announced.
Yeah, I mean, it's just up there. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
So, for anybody that hasn't seen this thing, it is fucking ghastly.
It is horrific, isn't it? As
a few members in present company have also said in the past, fucking direct route to infection. Yeah. I agree. I mean, if you could just shift over that way for 1 second. What's all of this embellishing and stuff up here?
The fact his face is the first thing that goes into is worrying.
To be honest, I mean, that much was kind of... When Manson is releasing a dildo, that's kind of what you expect, really. It's that kind of level of just, wow.
Well, in case you're interested, ladies and gents, it is called the Double Cross Dildo. It is 8 inches, 1.5 inches wide.
You've got the measurements.
And it's $125.
What?
The more you know.
No fucking way.
Yeah. Stick that in your badge and smoke it.
Right. Moving swiftly on.
A new album may be in the works by Metallica.
Yes.
As I've incited. Going with it.
Why not? English words.
Oh, the language.
Yeah, just fucking... I'm not gonna lie, I'm massively intrigued, quite frankly.
What, by the Metallica Dildo? No,
Metallica Dildo! Episode 24! Yes! Right, excuse us. We are a professional podcast.
Metallica and Lady Gaga
are making a dildo together. And...
Yes, double-ended, Hetfield ones, and
metal one side. And
so they played together.
Whoa!
Metallica and Lady Gaga at the Grammys.
Yes,
last year, maybe last year because we spoke about it.
Yeah,
which was this year. So maybe this year. Who knows when it was? And Kirk Hammett sent out a tweet recently, I believe, and they're talking about it, and it looks like it's in the works to be released next year.
I'm fucking stoked, quite frankly, because she's quite... I don't know what the right word... Extravagant, I guess. Like, she's a bit abstract herself in what she does, so I don't actually think... Like, there'll be a lot of people that will hear that news and think, like... I can't help but think that that's going to work really well.
I think like it is. I'm not a fan of Lady Gaga's music solo.
Some of it's alright, you know.
I know she's a massive metal fan.
Yeah.
Which helps the cause, really. But from what I saw from the Metallica performance at the Grammys, they did really well. So I'm excited. I'll listen to it. It can't be any worse than Lulu. Metallica and Lou Reed album. cited as being quite possibly horrific.
Yeah. No, I'm well and truly stoked. I think it's going to be really good. I just have an inkling.
Yeah. So, I look forward to it either way.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the world of Japan. And Yui Metal has left Baby Metal.
Yeah, and this is obviously following the death of guitarist. More on that story. Earlier this year, actually, wasn't it? It was January 5th, I want to say. And obviously, I'm not too sure what else they've really done apart from Download. I'm not too sure if they've been gigging sort of heavily or not.
They were main support for Guns N' Roses in the USA.
Okay, there you are. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's mad how they're getting so quick. Again, like I said, more on that later, but she has been off ill for months now. She wasn't Download last year, this year. And they said, oh, it's a new story, it's a new chapter in life, she'll be back. And she now made a decision not to come back. She's going to do her own stuff under her real name, which is Yui.
Fair enough. So I guess that's something that we perhaps will update you guys with as well, because that sounds like a bit of a story in the making there.
Exciting.
And what kind of journalists would we be if we did not do that?
So, moving on to the one thing worse than death, Bring Me the Horizon album news.
Oh, fuck.
So, yes, Bring Me the Horizon album news. So basically, they've released the track listing and they released a new song. I've not listened to it because I'd rather have... Oh no, I'm not going to say that. I'd rather not listen to it.
Yep.
That is because, right, so the new song, I can't remember the name of it, A Wonderful Life, features Danny Filth of Cradle of Filth.
No fucking way.
Yeah, it's so weird. Apparently he's not really noticeable in it, but alas,
is his name a feature on the track?
Yeah, like featuring Danny Filth. Yeah. And he's in the music video, which I haven't seen. I've seen like a snapshot of it. But yeah, that is the case.
A very unlikely mix, I feel.
Yeah, it's very weird. Apparently, he does like a spoken word part and a very small scream, which is apparently dampened out by Ollie's vocals. Also, apart from the track Mantra, which is all in capitals, on their album listing, right, it's disgusting. Right, you know what I'm like. They have no capital letters for their album titles, and that just makes
disgraceful.
Just looks horrible to look at.
I think that would probably make you angry as an individual, even more so.
Yeah. So moving swiftly on to our topic of the week.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be Deciphered Podcast if we weren't unbearably sad about these things. So we're going to talk more about death.
Yeah,
quite frankly,
much. The topic is literally how death affects music, in multiple ways, not just the band, the fans, covering most aspects. Now, disclaimer: we are not covering every person that has died in metal because that would be a long story, long podcast.
We would be here until tomorrow.
So we have chosen, I think it's 12 people that are notable, recent, very recent, and decades ago.
Yeah. So, just like a few of the sort of more popular names that a lot of people would probably sort of associate this kind of topic with. And we thought that we'd have a look at sort of whether or not the bands were a commercial success afterwards, whether they continued it at all. And
how writing styles changed and stuff like that, yeah.
So you were saying beforehand that you've got like a medium of questions that we're going to put these through.
I busted them out. So we'll go through... Let's go through each person.
Yep.
In no particular order, just saying their life, so birthday, death date, and cause. Then we'll go on to the proper topic.
I mean, yeah, sure. I figured that we could do it in chronological order. To be honest.
Yeah, we'll do it in chronological order. We can do that from the start if you want. I just thought I'll quickly spout all those facts, then do it in chronological order. But either way, so let's do it in chronological order. So we're starting off from the earliest of the 12 that we've got. Kurt Cobain.
So yeah. Not too sure when he was born. Have you got that written down?
Yeah, 20th of February 1967.
Okay.
Up until the 5th of April 94.
So, yeah, interestingly, that's when the coroner ruled that his death probably was most likely... That's when it most likely occurred. But they didn't actually find his body until April 8th, I believe.
Okay.
And that was purely because of an electrician that was in to fit a home security system. His house found him.
Right.
So obviously there's a lot of controversy around that regarding Courtney Love and regarding the fact that the two had made contact with each other since so essentially he had bolted from rehab.
Right.
And obviously I'll go into this a little bit more, but suffice to say that the missing persons call was out exceedingly late, considering how long he had actually been quote unquote missing for. Right. Obviously the cause of death was ruled by suicide by gunshot. And he was found in his Seattle home. He was 27.
Yeah, so yeah, like you say, it's officially by the law or the coroner, yeah, suicide by gunshot.
Yeah,
but yes, as you
more
know,
controversy around that as well. Yeah,
Lane Staley.
Yeah, another really young one as well.
22nd of August, 67.
Yeah, and died April 5th. Actually, yeah. Well, that's approximate though.
Again, same with Kurt Cobain, same date.
Yeah, and there's a few of those.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is a few of those, which is what I thought was quite weird. So April 5th was the approximate date that they sort of thought that his body had like sort of decomposed quite largely by the time that they actually found him, and they sort of managed to trace, or they identified his body through dental records. So that gives you a bit of an indication of how far gone he really was by that point. It was about 2 weeks. So they found him on April 19th in 2002. So yeah, fucking crazy really. Death from OD, speedballing, which is heroin and coke.
Yeah.
But also, interestingly enough, I will go into the other things that was found alongside his body as well, because I don't think it stops there.
Okay, we'll go into that in a bit.
Yeah.
Sweet. Dimebag Darrell. Born on the 20th of August, 1966, and was killed on the 8th of December 2004. Assassination by gunshot.
Interestingly enough, going off of what we were saying a minute ago with sort of weird occurrences that are, or like weird consistencies between, do you know, 24 years to the day after John Lennon was shot.
It's
was
weird.
Murdered as well. Yeah. The only difference being obviously that Dimebag Darrell was shot on stage.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was a massive wake-up call really should have been really for the music community worldwide. But
I think it changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Put a lot of things in the making.
There was a lot of security at gigs after that. A lot more security anyway.
Yeah.
It's not to say that there was none back then. But generally speaking, like most people, I get the feeling most sort of musicians kind of felt safe to at least get up on stage. But there you go. So
Hi,
yeah,
Sophie, thanks for tuning in.
Assassination at gunpoint, and that took place in Columbus, Ohio, at the Alrosa Villa nightclub.
I don't think Billy Paul's played in Columbus since.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I know there's a big thing about it, years before Billy's death, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yes,
but I'm pretty sure at one point he's like hadn't played there since.
And you can't really blame him.
Not at all. Really. No, I think they took they on a tour supporting someone. They took the day off. They're like, we're not going into that place. Which again, like you said, entirely fair enough.
100%.
So we move on to the end of the last decade with Jimmy the Reb Sullivan.
Yes.
James Owen Sullivan, and he was born on the 9th of February 1981, and unfortunately died on the 28th of December 2009, and that was due to a combination of prescription drugs and alcohol, which resulted in an accidental overdose.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, there's been speculation about this over the years, which I assume that you'll probably go into in a minute anyway. But with songs that you will see appear on the review at the end of the episode, like obviously handing the lyrics over to songs that he had written like literally 3 or 4 days before his passing. And interestingly enough, I'm not sure you'd probably be able to confirm this, but I've read in a few places that Fiction was actually originally called Death.
It was. We will get onto that later.
Fucking craziness.
Yeah.
But yeah, so accidental overdose. And that's so they're not treating it as like suicide or anything, never have done.
I mean, Sophie, you've entirely got the capitals wrong on there, but that's fine.
Mad. And he was found in his Huntington Beach, California home.
Yeah.
At the age of 28.
It was the night after a friend's stag do, I think.
Wow.
I want to say that.
Craziness.
Or it was a wedding party. It was something like that.
So happy occasions surrounding, obviously, just coming out of Christmas and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Surrounded by family and all the rest. Sad times, really. Really sad times.
Yeah. So this started off a spout of quite a few deaths within a space of 12 months. So 2 of the 3 we've got on here of that year is Paul Gray, who was born on the 8th of April 1972 and passed away on the 24th of May 2010.
Just interestingly, before that though, Ronnie James Dio, May 16th, 2010. Whereas Paul Gray was May 24th. I've written it in the wrong order, my apologies. No, I just thought I'd throw that in there because it's quite possibly one of the first ones that hasn't been sort of completely haunting so far. And still obviously shit, but due to complications with stomach cancer.
Yeah, stomach cancer. So 10th of July 1942 he was born, and like you said, 16th of May 2010. So yeah, stomach cancer. Dio, obviously one of the biggest legends in metal ever.
Yeah, there's a huge fucking memorial statue type thing in Budapest or somewhere like that.
I've seen it, I can't remember the location.
Yeah, I can't either, but I remember having a look at it when it was first sort of unveiled. And that's just awesome, really, that, to know that you've kind of had that outreach worldwide.
Yeah, for sure,
fucking
man.
awesome.
Definitely.
So yeah, that was obviously quite hard on the entire scene, really, I feel. Craziness. And for your interest, I've got it written here, he was 67.
67, yeah.
So pretty full life. Not still too young, I would say. But 67's...
It's not like a lot of people on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then bouncing back to Paul Gray, he died of an accidental overdose of prescription drugs, similar to the Rev.
With some slight differences in... So he overdosed on morphine and prescription drugs. So morphine obviously being quite a dangerous thing to mix with anything. But there you have it. Fucking craziness.
Not the one.
Yeah, the coroner actually did sort of say as well, though, that were it not for the drugs, it's not like he said with the most sort of heart in place as possible. He did kind of say that judging by the state of his heart and significant heart disease that he was probably living with for very many years without even knowing, he probably didn't actually have too many years ahead of him.
What, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there is a court case, I'm not sure if it's finished yet, there was a court case a couple of years after his death between his wife, Brenna, and the guy that sold him the drugs, the doctor.
Right, oh, I did not know that.
Michael Jackson-esque style court case on a small scale because it's not Michael Jackson.
Yeah, naturally.
Going on to another legend, Lemmy.
Yeah, definitely the oldest on this list, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I mean, fair play to the dude, because somebody that drinks that much fucking whiskey and smokes that many cigarettes, living till the age of 70. So he died 4 days after his 70th birthday, actually, on December 28th, 2015.
Yeah.
And that was due to heart failure, cancer.
Yeah, prostate cancer and congestive heart failure.
Madness.
Yeah, again, he's lived a full life.
Yeah, very much so. Indulgence to the max.
Yeah.
Excess to the max.
Probably gets him more badges than days on Earth for us combined.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, I mean, fair play to the guy. Sort of died a few days after doing what he loved most, which was finishing up a little tour.
Yeah.
And then going and getting pissed all the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Craziness.
Then we go on to Tom Searle of Architects.
Really sad.
So, born on the 23rd of October 1987. That was surprisingly hard to find. And died on the 20th of August 2016 from melanoma skin cancer.
Also at the age of 28. And if anybody's actually read his brother Dan's little tribute thing that they released on Facebook just after his death, they did want to thank the Martlets Hospice in Hove for doing such a great job of sort of letting him live out his last few days. I mean, I really wish that we could have found like a just that statement, really, because it is quite heartfelt, and it just sort of depicts what kind of character he was, really, because he got taken ill in Luxembourg and they put him into like a medically induced coma, and then they were like, he's probably never going to wake up, we're probably never going to be able to wake him properly, so this is it, kind of thing. And
3 days later,
3 or 4 days later, he just woke up.
Yeah, and they didn't even get They had a
air
helicopter,
ambulance, to take him back to the UK.
and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna get a train."
Yeah, gonna get the Eurostar back home.
Yeah.
What a fucking legend.
What a legend, yeah.
What a fucking legend. But yeah, so sadly, it just goes to show really that cancer can affect people of all ages. There you have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's more unfortunate about him is that he had cancer years before, and it went
3 years.
3 years before, I think. Yeah. And
Completely cleared, didn't
completely cleared. Then went into remission, and that's kind of when they knew. Well, he knew.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dan fought it in his mind a bit longer. I'm sure they all did, but at the same time, it's kind of like worrying. So,
whilst we are on the topic as well, everybody needs to watch the DVD. What is it called? The little
Holy Ghost.
There you are.
Yeah, great short film.
Fucking
deep
brilliant.
as fuck.
Yeah.
When you get to the Ali Pali performance.
Yeah, very much so. Still.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell.
This one really cut me up. I remember being at work, and Pete, if you're watching this is all down to you, you motherfucker. Came running upstairs mid-shift. We both supposed to be working, and he came running upstairs, literally halfway across the shop floor in Tesco's. Chris Cornell's dead. Chris Cornell's dead, and I literally didn't believe it. I refused to believe it. Quite frankly,
I've got a very similar story for the next person.
Yeah, I was fucking heartbroken, quite frankly. I've not really been like a massive fan of the music that he's done to its extent, but definitely all of the songs that I like that he's been affiliated with, I love. Yeah, some of them are just literally like pinnacle to my childhood. Black Hole Sun was quite possibly one of the first times that I remember being dangerously haunted ever, to be quite honest with you. That video is fucked. But yeah, so I don't really think many people really sort of knew about his depression, about any of that kind of stuff on the lead up to his death, but death by hanging, and then asphyxiation.
Yeah.
Was found in the MGM Grand Hotel in Detroit, where he was staying just a few short hours after a Soundgarden gig.
Yep. Hey, it's worth pointing out before we go on to the next one, his date of birth was the 20th of July, 64. Going on to Chester, he was born on the 20th of March, 76, and died on the 20th of July, Chris Cornell's birthday, 2017.
And it is definitely worth pointing out that the two were extremely close friends.
Yeah.
I believe, obviously, in hindsight, you sort of make the assumption that that Chris had probably been helping Chester get through some of his shit, and perhaps vice versa.
Yeah.
It's always good. I mean, when you've got sort of two people that are suffering in a very similar sort of way, putting them together to talk about things can either be really beneficial or it can be detrimental. I think in this case it was probably a touch of both. But there you have it.
Yeah.
Really sad stuff. Was found with trace amounts of alcohol, as the toxicology report showed.
Yeah,
but very, very little. Not enough to warrant sort of blaming it on drinking or anything like that. So definitely was suicide by also hanging.
Yeah. So with your story about Pete and Chester, Pete and Chris, sorry, I was working at a lovely, lovely place, and it's I was on the phones, and my colleague Jermaine was on the phone as well. It was just us two. It was like 7 p.m. and I'm checking my phone like a good employee would, and I noticed I saw this Chester had died thing on TMZ, and I was like, he's not really great. I'm not going to take their. I saw it on Facebook. I was like, that's just silly. And no, that's right. Someone messaged me saying it. And I went, nah, that's bullshit. I literally didn't even check anything. I was like, no, he didn't die. Insane. Then I went onto Facebook and saw TMZ article, and that's where that's the first one to state that he hung himself, or anyone else did. So I'm not sure how they got the information. But
on scene reports probably.
Well, yeah, possibly. While on the phone, while Jermaine was on the phone, I said, dude, Chester. I messaged him over Skype, and he looked at me like, what? And then completely lost his phone call. Like he didn't know where it was. Like, but yeah, that's kind of how that story came out to me. But It's
Crazy.
very deep. So I kind of find it's weird that we've got a link of how we found out on those two things.
Yeah.
And they have a link with each other.
Yeah, that is a bit weird, actually. So yeah, he, as we said, was found dead July 20th, which meant that he was 41 years old himself. And that would have been Chris Cornell's 53rd birthday.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Mr. Mickey O.
Yeah, to be honest with you, very little about his death is actually known. So he fell from an observation deck while stargazing. I'm not actually too sure whether it was in the States, whether it was at home in Japan, not too sure. And that was on the 30th of December. So considering that stargazing is obviously, or like observation decks for that sort of purpose are generally fucking stories and stories high. For him to have fallen on the 30th and didn't actually pass away until the 5th of January. So he managed to survive almost a week with those kind of injuries.
It's pretty insane, isn't it?
But yeah, so eventually died from injuries sustained from falling, and he was 36.
Too young. Crazy.
Way too young.
What was his date of birth?
19th of January.
Okay.
So he was just shy of being 37 years old.
Right, cool. Well, I say cool, not cool, but...
Not cool, but there you have it.
Yep. And then we go on to the penultimate of Vinnie Paul. With his date of birth was 11th of the 3rd, 64, and died on the 22nd of June this year from coronary heart disease. So he's with Dimebag now, obviously, but...
Buried next to him as well.
Yeah.
And next to their mum, I want to say.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they've got like a family plot there.
Excellent, fair enough.
So his mum or his grandma or something like that.
That took me by a big surprise as well, to be honest.
I mean, he was quite young.
Yeah.
Math fails me right now, quite frankly.
50 odd?
Yeah.
54?
I mean, for heart failure and stuff like that, that's bad.
Yeah, he's always been a big guy, I guess.
Big guy,
Big little
drank
guy.
a lot.
Yeah.
Smoked probably. I'm not too sure about that. I don't really sort of know too much about. If anybody's got any further information about his sort of addictions or anything like that, feel free to comment, because this is one that I don't really know too much about. Because this was shortly before download, was it?
Yeah, no, just after.
Just after download. Still in the blues, man. I don't need that.
Speaking of which, download announcement tomorrow. Woo! We'll bring you down in a week's time.
Internet. So yeah, fucking crazy, really. But again, it's at least a natural death in some senses. Obviously, probably sort of self-inflicted to some degree, but it's not as sort of haunting as suicide and things like that.
Yeah, or drug overdose, specifically.
And to be fair, for the guy to have gotten back on stage for so many years after witnessing that shit happen to his brother, it's fucking fair play. Mad respect for that. Which then brings us on to the final one of the list, which was Ollie Herbert.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the news earlier, he was found dead last week. No cause found, but he did die. He was found in a pond. Yeah, pond.
Really quite crazy stuff, really.
That's our 12 chosen dead people.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go on to what we're going to do. So let's go one by one.
Yep.
So back up to Curtis
Cobain. So I've actually written a little bit about sort of the background leading up to that, just because this is obviously one that has been sort of I don't really know the right word for it, but it's been like in the fans' eyes since the day it happened, really, and it's always been sort of up for speculation and controversy. So he definitely struggled with depression. Yeah, 100%. Definitely struggled with depression, rooted in his childhood. His parents divorced when he was about 9 years old. And many documentaries sort of feature friends, like close friends of the band, close friends of him personally, that would sort of say that after that, that was something that had always affected him, suffice to say. So he never really dealt with the tensions of his home life very well. He himself actually stated in an interview in 1993 that he resented them for many years and was quite ashamed. Just purely because I think he wanted that kind of usual family life. Do you know what I mean? The sort of mum and dad, working class family, still together. He had a sister that he loved very much and was quite happy for that to be the case. and knew that when his parents had parted ways, essentially, that they'd probably end up remarrying and finding other people. And despite them actually promising that they wouldn't, they both did. So following both of that, like his parents remarried. Kurt's teen years were tumultuous. His father found it hard to look after him, so he sent him off to live with like family and friends. He actually lived with his grandparents for the greatest time of his youth. But he moved in with a friend of his, Jesse Reed. Now this is interesting to me because it just sort of shows the kind of differences in his views over the years and how he can adopt like one sort of set of views and then change it really drastically. It kind of almost sets the image of like a manic depressive, somebody that can sort of in and out of highs and lows. They're either really buzzing about something or they're really down about something. So when he moved in with a friend, Jesse Reed, his family were like really religious, and Kurt actually adopted Christianity.
Okay.
For very many years. Well, I say for very many years, for a couple of years, but was a frequent churchgoer. Which is something that a lot of people probably wouldn't.
I wasn't aware.
Exactly. Whilst living with Jesse, and I think probably a large contribution as to why he ended up leaving that household, was that he started sort of becoming a bit anti-God. If you listen to a lot of the lyrics in Nirvana albums, they are actually quite religious, like rooted in religion. For instance, he's always been quite into like Buddhism and things like that. But he became very sort of anti-God, and that sort of made his friendship with Jesse a bit sort of rugged. So he began to renounce those kind of views, and a few years later he met Christ, and both of them were veterans in the Seattle punk rock scene at the time. They began playing music together, which led to the formation of Nirvana, which obviously didn't sort of really take off until Grohl joined the band. And obviously Nevermind came out. Smells Like Teen Spirit was an instant success. So they were sort of catapulted into mainstream success, and I think what that basically left was a once lonely, bullied, full of teenage angst sort of punk rocker, Kurt Cobain, who seldom had any interactions with other people, was suddenly cast into the role of being the spokesman for a generation. And I just don't really think that sat well with him, to be fair. There are so many interviews where people will say, you know, you've been accredited with being this to this generation. You are like the spokesman of Generation X. And there are so many interviews in which he basically says that is just people being misguided about my lyrics, like people sort of misinterpreting the message that I'm trying to send. So you can already tell that he's really not into it, really.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Please continue.
Just a massive fucking yawn there. So yeah, once lonely, misunderstood, and seldom endorsed by other people, was now suddenly sort of dubbed the spokesman of a generation, was popular with even jocks and stuff like that. And
which you wouldn't really link those two together, would you normally?
Exactly. And like people, like jocks and stuff were like actually turning up at their shows and stuff. And if you watch... at the beginning of a Foo Fighters documentary called Back and Forth, Dave obviously talks a bit about Nirvana and like his start-ins with that. And even Dave sort of thought that was like wildly inaccurate.
Katrina.
Just, yeah, so I thought that was quite interesting as well, really, because it just shows that sort of being catapulted into that kind of spotlight is enough to unnerve a man. For much of his life, he struggled with depression. Many know of his heroin addiction, which attributed to his chronic stomach pains is the reason that he's often sort of said that he uses heroin, was because he had untreatable stomach pains that, to be honest, obviously things like IBS weren't really too well known about back then. Could have just been like really, really chronic and really like awful IBS, which is something that still to this day has no treatment. But he sort of says that was part of the reason why he took up drugs. But yeah, his marriage obviously to Courtney Love, which is the main topic for controversy in this particular sort of segment, and just family struggles in general, really. So I think he was coming from a pretty fucked up place. And yeah, that was...
It's safe to say, yeah, he was definitely like haunted. Not haunted, what's the word I'm looking for? Tormented by demons.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Personal demons.
very much so for pretty much most of his life. I think he found some happiness in Frances being born, his daughter.
Yep. Who's now released a solo track, I believe.
And also, interestingly enough, I'll perhaps read more into this and bring it to news next week, but there is actually a lawsuit involving a cast member of 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, no. And her.
In which her former ex-husband, Frances Bean's former ex-fiance or husband, is in possession of the guitar that Kurt Cobain used to play the acoustic set at MTV Unplugged. So
wait. So her ex-fiance is in 13 Reasons Why?
No. Her ex-fiance is in possession of one of Kurt's guitars that is still unsettled of who it should go to through the divorce. She obviously claims it's a family heirloom. He's basically saying, no, I got this through the marriage. This is mine, kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
And there's now a bit of a conspiracy theory, again involving love, in which a member of the cast of 13 Reasons Why has been interrogated about conspiring to murder her ex-husband to reclaim possession of said guitar.
Do you know what actor it is?
I can't remember the guy's name, no, but I'll look it up. I'll read more into the story and I'll bring it next week.
I'm going to blame Bryce because Bryce is to blame for everything.
It's not, no. It's because there's only one way that I can describe him in this.
Okay.
So yeah, after his apparent suicide, the band obviously didn't continue. They released a few other bits and bobs, sort of like special anniversary editions and things like that. Much like the Beatles did. Very much like the Beatles did, to be honest. They didn't really need to record more music. They obviously all did their own sort of separate ventures, as did Dave. But the band did go on to secure over 25 million record sales in USA alone and over 80 million worldwide.
That's insane.
Of that 80 million, I read somewhere earlier that 47 million of them occurred after his death.
So that's crazy. Death always, so that's one of the big topics that we'll go through with every band, but popularity rising. So with Nirvana, now they were massive before he died.
Yep.
There's no denying that.
Yep.
Would they be as massive if he didn't die now? Like, and I'm talking like,
this is just in my opinion.
T-shirts, right? Kind of massive.
Wow, that fucking staple.
Okay, no one wants to get there in rock, really. But like, if he didn't die, would they be such a household name?
And this is all in my opinion.
Yeah, it's all opinion based.
I personally would question that because I think every band has. Would they not have just fallen under the same umbrella of, releasing a bad album, suddenly they've lost their way and nobody's really into them anymore? I don't really think they would have remained as much of a commercial success as they did were it not for his death. So I'm actually going to say no.
Not as famous.
Not as famous.
They would still be notably big.
I mean, yeah, they brought mainstream rock and grunge to the masses massively. So I think that they would have been inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they did, which was their first year of eligibility. I think that still would have happened, whether or not they would still be releasing records that will sell like millions at a time. I mean, it depends. They could be another Metallica. Metallica are a band that have, in my opinion, released some pretty awful albums over the years and will still sell millions of copies of them.
Yeah, fair enough.
So perhaps it's possible, but I just can't help but feel like if he was still alive, he would still be afflicted by the same struggles that he was. I mean, let's remove heroin addiction out of that because nobody's going to be alive for that long after a heroin addiction, bar Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers, because that guy's insane.
Apologies.
I personally think that they would have dwindled over the years.
Yeah.
Something in my mind just says that.
No, fair. So this is probably one of the biggest times to bring this question up. People seem to go into researching deaths.
Yeah.
Fans get obsessed with the deaths sometimes. And obviously this has a massive conspiracy behind it, which we've already spoken about. Do you think why do you think fans, or maybe I should leave this question till the end. We'll do that as an ending question.
Okay.
So it's a bit hard to discuss this any further due to they didn't continue. So a lot of the questions I've got here are based on continuing. So we'll get back to them in the overall spectrum at the end of the topic.
Yeah.
So, Lane Staley / Alice in Chains.
Yes.
Hit me with your info stick.
So yeah, this is the only other one that I've written like a nice little segment about. And I do feel like it will be worth tuning in the future for lots more information. From a young age, again, was drawn into music, began singing and drumming early. He actually was affiliated with his first singing project when he was 3 years old. 3 fucking years old, and he was like singing on not like a commercial level, but singing beyond just singing in your house while you're wandering around, bashing your rattle on things and stuff. Sick. He was actually involved with something at the age of 3, which I thought was fucking awesome.
Yeah, man, sure.
Was cognizant of his desires to be a vocalist while he was still in his first school, but I mean, if you've ever looked at pictures of Lane Staley, if anybody's ever looked at pictures of Lane Staley, very tall, very fucking pale and skinny, has always been that way, and for those kind of reasons suffered at the hands of bullying in school quite drastically by the looks of it. Definitely struck his depression and anxiety from an early age, and even when he first joined the music acts that he was first affiliated with before Alice in Chains, which one of them was actually called Alice in Chains.
Okay.
So the band that we now know as Alice in Chains was actually a continuation from a previous project of his.
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, yes.
Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, mate. But even when he was sort of touring and doing little things like that with the band that we know now and the previous band, Alice in Chains, he was quite known for being a shy person. Like quite a recluse, really. Sort of didn't really do the whole like, right, we've just finished our set, let's go and get hammered thing very often. And when he did, he'd quite often sit on his own. So paints the picture of a bit of a recluse, really, suffering with quite hectic depression, I feel. After many relapses, I'm not actually too sure, again, tune in later, not too sure when his addiction first sort of came about, but was in and out of rehab loads of times. One of the former members of Alice in Chains was also a bit of an addict, and Staley actually saved his life when he OD'd.
Okay.
Which I didn't know about until today. But after very many relapses on the Dirt Tour, which is their second album, Kurt Cobain's death was in the news, and that actually scared Lane into sobriety very, very, very briefly. It wasn't long before he relapsed again, and then the worst of his depression came when a former fiancée of his died in 1996, which sent him into like chronic depression.
So was she already a former, or she died?
Yeah, I believe so. But I think that they were still close. I'm not too sure. I will read more into this because this is all information that I've really only sort of looked into heavily today, ready for this topic. And it's quite interesting, really, because the band never actually disbanded. It was quite common knowledge for a while that they went on hiatus and then they disbanded and then they rejoined and then they disbanded. And there's been lots of things with that. But in actual fact, they never officially disbanded at all. They were basically cancelling tours and refusing like really big opportunities as a band in hopes that it would get Lane clean.
Right.
Basically. A few times he went into rehab, like I said, relapsed every single time. One of the reasons being that the death of his former fiancée in 96, which basically sent him into a reclusive state. He barely left his condo. When he did, he went to go and frequent a bar that was not too far from where he lived. And he wouldn't buy any drinks or anything like that. He would literally just go in there and sit in the corner on his own and usually nod off, as I saw quoted today.
My spirit animal.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, obviously the band sort of continued through that. He made a few odd sickly appearances, one of which a member from another band has been has been quoted saying that they asked him to join them for like a live performance on a TV show or something like that. And he agreed to do it, which surprised everyone. And bear in mind that the guy was doing other music projects while Alice in Chains were on hiatus as well. But all of this happening through his addiction. And he was literally, this other band member said that he was literally green when he turned up to do the performance. Like, he was green with how much heroin he had been taking. So obviously once the band realised that it was kind of a dead end, they sort of went on an indefinite hiatus. I think with the intention to perhaps disband if Lane couldn't really get himself clean. I forget the drummer's name of the band, but they basically said like we would have done anything to have gotten him like healthy again, but it just seemed like what he wanted was to be left alone by everyone, kind of thing. So after his death, they replaced him with William Duval. And they continue to have good success. Often jaded by the lack of Lane's voice because it was quite distinct. And the guitarist Jerry Cantrell, who was the other founding member of the band, has often said that the minute he heard Lane singing, he knew that was the voice that he wanted in his band, kind of thing. And when you listen to Dirt as an album, I fucking love it.
Right.
Them bones.
Stealing something though.
You're joking?
No.
Right, you need educating, sir. What better medium to do it through? But yeah, so they continued to have good success after that.
Cool. So, as you've already mentioned, they continued and had success. So they're still a band today, playing festivals across America. I think they headlined a festival. They were going to headline. Eventually pulled out. They were second place, so then they overtook, and then the festival cancelled anyway. So, as a fan, this is a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the bloody answer. And the question is, so when is the writing style noticeably different between Lane and then the new guy?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the new guy, from what I know, can do the old songs perfectly well. It's fair to say that I'm only really a fan as far as Lane Staley was in the band.
Right, okay.
And to be fair, obviously learning about his death at a later age and getting into the band at a later age, I actually listened to as an album before realising the guy was dead.
Right, okay.
And then I listened to it again after knowing that he had essentially fucking OD'd on a mixture of booze, spray paint cans, empty spray paint cans, so he had obviously been like abusing solvent. And heroin, obviously. And yeah, just I think when you go back and listen to the albums, knowing that he was intoxicated for most of it, it is a bit different. And the new guy doesn't have that. He doesn't have that kind of. It sounds really awful to say it this way, but he doesn't have that kind of edge. He doesn't have that kind of like haunting sort of shit going on in his head that can, sadly enough, inspire people to write some really fucking trippy and excellent lyrics.
During the darkest times, you can write the most powerful stuff, and that we'll get into again towards the end, because that's going to happen for people that have not. So the victims, like drug takers or whatever, they're in a dark place writing stuff, but we'll also talk about the people that are there after the deaths, and they'll write their darkest stuff because they've lost a friend, kind of thing. Yeah,
I mean, it's worth pointing out as well that in the earlier stuff, so Facelift, their sort of debut, Jerry actually wrote most of the lyrics.
Right. Okay.
It was only towards the tail end of Dirt and preceding sort of ventures that they did after that that Lane became like a main contributor. He's credited with writing 50% of the lyrics for everything now. And I get the feeling that was perhaps because they want his family to receive like the royalties, I guess. Right. Maybe, I'm not too sure. Again, I'll dig deeper into it because it's worth covering.
Was there a notable rise in popularity after his death? I'm not aware of one.
No, I wouldn't have said so. If anything, I feel like their fan base has dwindled over the years quite a bit. I mean, you need to imagine that when they were active, obviously bands like Nirvana gave Alice in Chains like a good platform to market themselves and gave them like a mainstream audience. But yeah, so I mean, it's fair to say that Kurt Cobain's death potentially gave them more listeners, but also his own death was then kind of like a bit of a shot in the back, really.
What like there, Danny?
Hey, mate.
Quick comment on the Facebook.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you missed out, you can check this out on YouTube right now live.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. My favourite band is Nine Inch Nails, and Trent Reznor has never written as well as he did before Hiatus and Rehab.
Yeah.
So yeah, in your darkest hours, you can write the best shit.
Yeah.
So continuing with the Chains of Alice.
So we'd established that I think personally they had a bit of a dip in their fan base.
Okay, I'm not aware. I'm not educated enough to comment.
Fair enough. Neither am I really.
Just two guys that.
I don't know what we're talking about.
No, I have no idea what we're talking about.
We'll do sandwiches.
Yeah, got a crisp in it. So let's continue.
Yeah.
To topic person number 3.
Mm.
You done with Staley?
I am done with Staley. Yeah. Sad, really sad story, and it's a shame really because I think he was brilliant.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fair. So Mr. Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
Habits. So this is a different death. This is a unique one on our list, as it is the only one where it's
Murder case.
murder.
Mm.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
Someone else came and took his life away. So, did Pantera rise from his death? I don't think so. I think they were at the top already, and they didn't rise any further from it, in my opinion.
Well, Pantera were inactive at that point. Phil Anselmo was doing other shit with
Entirely correct. Yeah.
Superjoint, and there was another group.
Down. I'm not sure if Down was around yet then.
No, yeah, I think it was. I think
Yeah.
it was. And they were they had their niche market,
Yeah.
like stoner metal, as it's called,
Yeah.
really.
Big man.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard to really say Pantera had a rise,
But
it'd be interesting to look at their record sales after his death to see if
Yeah.
that spiked at all.
so while Pantera weren't active, I mean Nirvana weren't active after Kurt's death. So I get that. Also, obviously Pantera broke up a fair bit before Dimebag's death.
Yeah.
But that was definitely Dimebag's biggest band.
Yeah,
And popularity could still surge, but I feel like because Pantera was mentioned in the Decisive Tournament, which you can check out over multiple episodes, back on season 1 or something.
pre-format.
They kind of got a cult following. And,
Yeah, it's massive.
so I wouldn't say they rose, but I don't really say it dipped either. I'd say it stayed pretty on top.
Yeah, I would say so. Like you said, they're another sort of Slipknot style band where they will always have their dedicated fan base. 100%. There are still to this day die-hard Pantera fans that know every single one of their songs lyrically, could probably drum them in their sleep, that kind of thing. So I think we could probably safely say that pretty much stayed about the same.
Yeah, I'd say so too. So, quick backstory. I have backstories like you have for those two. Apart from, I've got 2 down the line. One's going to be pretty obvious.
No wonder.
It's going to be Lemmy. And we forgot to point out before, like another weird coincidence is the Reverend Lemmy died on the same day, 2 different years. Sorry, back to Dimebag. So the guy that killed him was obviously an obsessed fan of Pantera.
Yeah,
Now-
so we think. Well, that much has been pretty
Obvious, yeah. And they've cited mental illness as a citation for why he did it, but that's not. I don't like thinking that mental health can kill someone.
So the assailant's name was Nathan Gale. He was a 25-year-old former Marine.
Okay.
He was, on the day of the assassination, he was armed with a 9mm Beretta and went up on stage and shot Darrell in the head 5 times.
I thought it was 3, but I'm
3 to 5 times,
Yeah.
killing him instantly, as fucking suffice to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, continued to obviously shoot other people. Shot Cat Williams, somebody. Their drum technician.
Right, okay.
Shot him.
Cat Williams.
Shot him 3 times. And surprisingly enough, he didn't actually die. But somebody that was giving Darrell CPR was shot also, and he did die.
Oh, really?
Yep, as well as somebody that worked in the nightclub that was also trying to sort of apprehend Nathan, I think, was also killed. So yeah, really sad. Loads of people were injured as well. And it's worth something that I actually found out today as well. It's worth pointing out that it's not the first time that he had tried to fuck with a Damage Plan gig, because a few months earlier, or like a year or so earlier, or something like that, he was arrested at a Damage Plan gig for damaging about $5,000 worth of equipment. And like raging. Yeah. So the same guy was allowed to enter another one of their concerts. Fucking mad.
Could have stopped, kind of.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, if mental health was a
anyway.
thing, they should have found it the first time round, really, and should have been trying to help the guy. Should have been trying to get the guy help, or locking him away, which is probably where he deserved to be. But in the end, one of the 12 police officers on scene, the only one to enter from the back of the venue. So by this point, the drum technician that he had taken that he had shot was taken hostage, and he had him in a headlock and was threatening to shoot him in the head, basically. So all of the cops that came through the front door, Gale knew about and was basically saying, if you come a step closer, I'm going to shoot this guy in the fucking head.
Right.
And then the one officer that decided to enter from the back was armed with a fucking shotgun.
Yeah.
And delivered a pretty perfectly placed shot, and 7 of the 8 buck slugs hit him like directly in the head or the chest and killed him instantly.
Good.
Yeah, so he died on scene as well as Dimebag Darrell.
Madness. Absolutely madness. So with Pantera and Damage Plan, the band obviously did not continue.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there were rumours of a Pantera formation with Zakk Wylde.
Yeah, which would have been...
it was I think the fan base was very torn on how they felt about that. But obviously with Billy dead now, that's not ever going to happen.
No.
So there's no... You can't really talk about writing style change because it wasn't there. Obviously the fans looked a lot into this death, but it's not really like... It doesn't have a conspiracy around it. It is
what it is.
It is what it is, yeah. We may look into why it happened or why he chose to kill him.
Yeah, there were minor conspiracy theories that Phil had something to do with it. I dismissed that instantly, quite frankly.
Yeah, I would do the same.
As much of a bellend as that guy is, nah, I don't think so.
We've already spoken about popularity.
It's hard to run this one through this medium, really, because of the sort of nature of circumstances.
Yeah, because they already split up. Damage Plan wasn't nearly as big. There was no surge for Damage Plan afterwards, not I know of.
No.
And yeah, there's nothing really more you can say about it.
I think the fact that they'd been a band for a while and that they were still playing like nightclub gigs kind of says a lot as well.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
So,
which is so weird from the size of Pantera to Damage Plan.
Very much so. But there you have it. Moving on to
Jimmy Owen Sullivan.
So this is obviously fucking Dimebag, Yes House. We love it.
Hello, Haley.
So yeah, this is obviously one that you're going to take the con for. I know very little about the circumstances surrounding his death. I just know some of the things he was intoxicated with.
I'm not going to touch onto it too much because I'm kind of covering it in the album. However, in the album, we'll talk about it in the album. But yeah, on top of the drugs and alcohol mentioned before, he also had, I forgot the official term, but he had an enlarged heart. Yeah. Which possibly got even further larger from drug use.
Probably.
But I believe he had an enlarged heart from birth.
Oh, really?
So it was always an issue for him. His death, came as a shock because, again, like, this was the first the first death within that year gap where it went a bit too crazy. Now, I'm not really sure how to go on that. Like, with his death, there's not really more information on it. Again, I'll cover some bits and some thoughts in the album, but at the same time, I'm going to skim them because some things I just won't discuss. It sounds really ominous, doesn't it?
It does a little bit.
So, going on to the questions with it, though.
Yeah.
So this one, we can delve into pretty much every question here. So, did the band continue? Yes, they did, as we know. So, first of all, with the members, right? So, if a band found a new member, how easy or hard was it? So, it was obviously very hard for the band. It will be for any band to find a new member because you've just lost a fucking close friends. And Avenged were closer than a lot of bands. Like they're basically brothers, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You get a lot of bands that are kind of like Five Finger, for example. They go on stage together, and then other than that, they're close with each other, but they don't really hang out all the time. Whereas these guys will see each other every day, kind of thing. They're like more of a family. And they found Mike Portney. So while it was hard for them, of course, they found him pretty easily. Now, Mike Portney is one of the Rev's favourite drummers.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, so it worked perfectly for them. It worked perfectly to keep up to the Rev standards because Mike's a great drummer.
Yeah, really incredible.
And again, we'll go into more of that on the drumming skill and what was written by who kind of thing on the review later on of Nightmare. But that's that. Obviously, Mike didn't work out for him.
Why is that, though? Is that because he had like other commitments with... Did he ever go back to Dream Theater afterwards?
No, so he quit Dream Theater in the hope and expectation that Avenged would take him on board permanently.
Right.
When that came to the conversation with Avenged were like, "We're sorry, but no."
Why is that?
He was never hired with the going forward of being in the band permanently. They always thought one of the reasons they thought like if they put Mike in there, and it's not the sole reason. It's probably one of the smaller reasons. But if you put Mike in there, it's always going to be Avenged and Mike. It's not going to be Avenged. And they always prided themselves on being a band where we're not about a member, we're about the band. Another reason is they just didn't think it fit right. Like it was, thank you so much, Mike, for helping us record this album. Thank you even more for touring with us, but it was never the plan. And I think his assumptions that I'm going to play for Avenged didn't help him at all. Could it have worked out for them? Maybe. Doubtful. I don't think it was. Again, it was never part of the plan.
I think it would have changed their kind of ethos as a band, as it were.
Very much so. It could have, yeah. Now, again, Mike, always thankful for him, always part of the Avenged family, but he did a great job on Nightmare.
Fucking brilliant.
So moving on, they obviously got Aaron.
Yep.
And that did not work out in the end, mainly due to Aaron's own faults of just fucking up, really. There's a lot of this will be spoken about in great detail at some point in life. But Aaron, they were playing like a group of festivals. I think it was a Rockstar Festival tour in America.
Right.
And like 3 shows in a row, he fucked up, and on this one show, he got up early, met his mates on like the 4th stage, because from before that he was in a band called Confide, a Christian rock band. Okay. Very small band. Okay, he obviously tried out for Avenged and it worked out. But he would go up early, meet them, help them set up their stage and take down, because they don't have, small bands don't have their own roadies.
No, yeah, shit. Exactly.
And then he would go into rehearsal and he'd go on stage. So he's got like a 14-hour day or a 12-hour day, and he's playing a 2-hour set. And on one of the shows at least, he multiple times fucked up the drums live. Oh. And you just don't do that when you're headlining the main stage.
No, that's fair.
So that was one of the main reasons.
Didn't actually know about that.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons he was gone.
When you say he fucked up the drums, like, did he like completely slip out of time? Did he drop beats? Did he stop playing at points? What?
I don't think he stopped playing, but he messed up the drums. I'm not sure exactly.
Wow.
But he got bits wrong.
Fair.
And when you're playing in a band, the drummer needs to hold it together most.
100%.
As we know. Not by the fact I've played in a band. So that's that, and then finally, obviously, on to Brooks now, and it's worked out, but that's a long way after Rev's death.
Yeah.
The Rev also really liked Brooks as a drummer.
Okay.
The Rev was in a ska band for a very short time called Suburban Legends, and they're kind of similar to Bad Religion, but also not at all. They have similarities, but I think they were in the same crowd, kind of thing.
Brooks, now this is probably going to be met with some stony eyes that I'm already getting. In my opinion, even though the Rev is extremely technical, Brooks has more of a multifaceted technicality about him.
That's nice. Not talking about fucking Brooks, are we? But we are actually, but
we are. We really are.
No, that's fine. You can have that opinion.
Yep.
I'm too fucking shattered to think about it.
Alright.
I obviously prefer the Rev to anyone.
I prefer the Rev. As a drummer, it's right for the band. It was right for the band.
You
it was
yourself.
Their atmosphere was there. I just think that is it fair to say then if they had found Brooks straight away, If that had been their instant replacement, how do you think that would have gone?
I don't think Brooks would be in the band now.
You don't?
No.
Interesting.
I feel like that time was needed to go through a few drummers to make things, see how they work. I don't think Brooks would have worked on Hail to the King.
Absolutely not.
And yeah, I don't think Brooks would be in the band now. I don't think Brooks would have accepted it back then. It's only got to the point where Brooks felt like he needed a change. He was in Bad Religion for like 22 years. And he was like, he founded the band, so he's like, I need a change, a new challenge kind of thing. And that was Avenged for him. And it kind of just worked out at the right time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I think Brooks would not have worked out.
Fair.
So again, there's not too much like mystery behind the Rev's death. Kind of. There's thoughts. We'll go through it on Nightmare album. So it's not like they've really looked into it, and it's not like a conspiracy thing.
No.
Did Avenged Sevenfold's popularity rise after the Rev's death? 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
I think so.
And we'll get on to this at the end again, but it sucks. That's the reason. I don't like the fact that so Avenged. Before the Rev's death, let's get that straight first of all. With the release of the self-titled and Nightmare being written, right? They were already going up to extreme lengths. It's not like they were a Midtown band and now the Rev died. They're huge.
No,
However,
they would still be in the position they are now if the Rev had stayed alive.
For sure, yeah,
100%.
But when a big person dies in a big band, all eyes are on that, and they want to check out the music that comes out afterwards. And with possibly the first on the list so far, this was the first emotional album that was released about this certain thing.
Yeah.
So Nightmare's obviously about the Rev's death pretty much all the way through. And I can see when people want to check out I want to see what they're thinking, what are their thoughts, how they're dealing with it kind of thing. Let's go check them out, and then more people check them out. So it's a really bittersweet thing with popularity rises from death.
Yeah, I mean, it is fair to say as well, though, that the band deserve credit for that, because it does take a lot to carry on. When you're a close-knit band like they were, it does take a lot to go on. And I think the fact that they kind of excelled themselves, really, especially in my opinion, with the stage.
Right.
That album is fucking brilliant.
It is a masterpiece, man.
So yeah, I think in some ways, like you said, bittersweet is probably like the best way to describe it. Really, it sucks that that's like a thing at all. But
yeah, it totally is.
The rest of the band have sort of had to work with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that just deserves mad credit, really.
Yeah. So obviously, Avenged were at a point where they were considering not continuing.
Really?
Yeah, they're considering not continuing.
When was that?
Very soon after his death, for a good few months. Now, it wasn't long after his death that Nightmare was released. So pretty much a hell of a lot of it was written. A fair amount of it was demoed. I know Nightmare was fully demoed. There's a Nightmare track where Nightmare is played on drums by the Rev.
Wow.
Yeah, so that sounds lovely. There's a demo version of Buried Alive where Rev's doing the vocals, but the lyrics aren't there yet. Kind of doing vocal tones. It would say random words. It also sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And there is a unreleased full demo of Fiction, which they said they don't want to release. Maybe at another time, but there's some things they want to leave personal, which I totally find fair. However, I'm dying to fucking hear it.
Yeah, I think as fucking amazing as that probably would be, that's very haunting.
Very deep, yeah. More on that later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it for the Rev part of this.
Yeah, they definitely did get a nice spike in popularity.
Yeah, they did.
Cool.
So I'm going to let you take over for Dio because I need to get some squash. I'm thirsty.
Okay.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't really sort of have too much to say about his death. Just that, obviously, as we covered, was one of the first ones. Stomach cancer is shit, quite frankly, but living until the age of 67, can't really argue. So yeah, died in Texas, which was not his hometown. And yeah, due to complications following that. Now, realistically speaking, I need your questions, sir.
Well, Nobody nosy on down.
Come be a part of this. It's fun.
Skew if I must say it's really weird to hear a podcast like our podcast live from the other room. Even though, yeah, it was strange to hear. So Dio has rocked for a long, long time. Heaven and Hell did not continue.
No, they didn't.
No, it is time to pass the torch. Snack. Heaven and Hell did not continue. Dio, the band, did not continue. Now they have had Dio Disciples play since, but that's Dio Disciples. Now, you can't really talk about the type of death affecting it. No, skew with that, right? Can't really talk about their writing style changing because it didn't. Now, again, this is another death where it's just cancer. It's cancer, which is awful, but it's nothing to research.
There's nothing malicious about it. Yeah. There's no conspiracy around it. Which is basically why I was at a loss for things to write. It was just, you know what I mean?
It felt
it's not like right. He died old, but he didn't die young.
No. It didn't feel right to not involve Dio, of course.
Absolutely not. No, it's a good fit for the list. Just that, yeah, there really isn't too much that can be said about it. And again, the questions don't really apply.
They don't. So, the rise in popularity, I didn't notice a spike at all.
No, I would say again he had already reached that kind of legendary status by that point. That was always
wasn't going to drop, but it didn't need to rise.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool whip. So after Dio, we move on to Paul Gray. Now, Slipknot, obviously the band have continued.
Yes.
As mentioned last week, their change of writing style. Well, let's just say, because obviously Paul was a big writer. Oh, quick go back to mention that the writing style obviously did change a bit for Hail to the King.
Massively.
Massively. Also into the stage, but Brooks did his own drums for the stage. Aaron did not do his own drums for the Hail to the King.
Which I do feel kind of bad for him for. Really.
Yeah, there's a few things I feel bad for him about, but we'll get into that at a later time. So yeah, back onto Paul Gray. So the writing style changed. So Paul Gray did do a lot of writing for Slipknot. Unfortunately for Slipknot, their latest album sucks dick.
In our opinion.
Oh, yeah, I'm pushing close to facts on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. I can agree.
Not Beartooth bad.
Not Beartooth bad.
No.
That is literally a new definition of bad.
Yeah.
That is almost like the epitome of bad.
Yeah.
But bad.
Yeah, super bad.
And definitely writing style changed.
Yeah.
100%.
You've also got to keep in mind with Slipknot, obviously the loss of Joey did contribute to that. But because both of them are not on that album, so the writing style changed from 2 points there.
Yeah. I mean, he contributed a lot to their music in general, didn't he? It wasn't just the drums. Yeah. It wasn't just the drums, though.
Joey, sorry. Yeah.
But obviously Paul as well.
Paul did a lot of the writing.
Yeah. Which I think, considering the guy could barely even play a bass when he auditioned, I think that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Super.
It's come a long way.
So with new members, they obviously got V-Man. Play bass.
Yeah.
That was a fair while after his death.
Yeah.
I think he started off as a touring drummer out. No, an old member of Slipknot was touring, but out back. He'll be off stage and just playing bass out the back.
Really?
Not on stage with him. Yeah.
Wow. Is that when they had like his bass and his mask and stuff?
Yeah,
on the stage, like the
2011 Sonic Sphere. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So
and Corey Taylor had a fucking full blown meltdown on stage.
Joey did.
Was it Joey that went up and hugged his thing?
That was deep as fuck, man.
Oh, it was when Corey was playing Snuff, like the acoustic.
Yeah, that was a solo. Yeah,
choked, wasn't it?
So, was there a rise in popularity after his death? I'm gonna say, if not nothing, a small dip. I'm trying to take out the album because their fans. It was based on the album alone. It'd be a terrible dip, but they're similar to Pantera in terms of the cult following.
So, just in terms of their sort of commercial success with the Grey Chapter, then is that noticeably shit in comparison, or is it?
I'm not aware of the actual sales, but it's not raved about by fans.
Like diehard Slipknot fans still struggle with it. Then
I believe so. But they struggle with Hope Has Gone as well. To be honest,
see, I do not.
I know you don't. I don't as much as some people do. Where I've heard that it's like horrendous.
No,
but it's really not.
That.
It's just not great either.
Mad.
We've got a kitty cat loose.
Oh my god.
Team mascot. So this is one where they kind of have delved into the facts of it, surrounding the death. Obviously, drug overdose. When it first came out, and it wasn't like the coroner's report wasn't done. It was said, "Oh, it's drug overdose," but there's usually further wait of at least like a month or so.
Yeah.
What drugs it was, people were like what happened, kind of thing. So people did look into it a fair bit, but it's not massive, to my knowledge.
No, not really. I think it was perhaps something that the diehard fan base wanted to sort of know more facts about, but it's not like it pulled in people that had never really listened to Slipknot before, thinking like, oh wow, this guy's died and it's from potentially a drug overdose, let's read about it. I think it was basically just as much talked about among the fans as it was ever going to be.
Yeah. It didn't rise at all.
No.
So that kind of covers Paul Gray, I believe.
No more questions on that one?
No, mate.
No, mate. So then we move on to
Lemmy, so I feel like we're going to probably skim across this one as well because of the circumstances around it.
Yeah.
He died very old. Well, not very old, but like...
70? 70 is a fucking damn long time for somebody of his...
caliber, lifestyle.
Yeah. Fucking fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
So he died at a respectable age, considering. And, again, it was cancer and heart disease. Cancer and...
Yeah, heart failure.
Yeah. There you go. So, band didn't continue. There was no rise in popularity as Motorhead, for God's sake. My battery's low. That's that. I can't see any more comments now. Sorry, guys. Right there. Okay, I can't see any comments, guys.
I'll read the comments, guys.
And awesome. And so yes,
obviously, the band didn't carry on.
The band didn't carry on. There was no change in writing style. There was no real look into his death. So, and there was no surge in popularity because again, Motorhead legendary status.
Yeah.
And there was no fall in popularity, but it's just Motorhead are Motorhead.
There's so Tom
Searle. Here's my other big issue of stories.
Yeah, go for it. Hit me with your stick.
Talking from actual experience now.
Because you have gone on a mad Architect surge.
I have. I most certainly have.
Considering this is a band that when I first spoke to you about years back, you were just like, nah, mate, fucking metalcore shit.
Yeah, well, see, I know that Rise of Metalcore. Check it. I don't think I ever clearly thought they were metalcore. Because the way I'm
generalising, but you basically said that they were another one of those just kind of
bands. They're the new age of bands that came with Bring Me the Horizon. They're going to be shit.
Yeah, essentially.
I'm not giving them a chance.
Essentially that. But you gave them a chance.
I gave them a chance.
And why was that?
Because we reviewed them. Check out our episodes. Because
Which one?
Taylor Swift. I think it's that one. Corey Taylor Ben. Taylor Swift.
Corey Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Corey Taylor Swift. Episode like 14.
Look at our videos on Facebook and YouTube.
And SoundCloud for your audio listening.
Which there isn't many visual listening things. But yeah, carrying on. So but it is fair to say that you got more into the band.
So yeah, when we first... So I only listened to them the first time properly April 1st this year when we reviewed them. And had a conversation with Sam Carter on our Twitter page, which you can check out at Deciphered. Not our Instagram page, which is _Deciphered.
That's good marketing, right?
Oh, it's so good, right?
Fucking nailed it.
So I didn't check them out before. I think I heard maybe one song. I was like, no.
Not for you.
I'm assuming it was probably like Hollow Crown days. I know I heard a few songs back in the day from their EP, Nightmares, or Nightmare. But that was a different vocalist, and that was like in 2005. I don't remember it, and I thought to check out any further.
Very little production went into that. It sounds raw, but it's not what you've come to expect of them. Suffice to say that.
So, it's always good to have a few pussies on our podcast.
We're expanding, guys.
Yeah, Fat Man's and Dildo.
Just so you know, we're not selling it. Buy our merch. We don't have merch.
Hashtag game. So I checked him out on April 1st this year. I didn't really care for him before. I listened to the album, not really knowing much about the band. I heard about the vocalist Sam before, and that's kind of as far as it went.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing I've got friends that are fans, so I probably heard about Tom's death when it happened, but I didn't know who he is. I kind of like, oh, someone
Just
died.
breeze over that.
Yeah.
Really,
Completely
basically.
forgot the fact 5 minutes after I saw it. Then when I looked into the album, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, obviously I loved the shit out of it. But it was only after a few listens, and I thought, you know what? So after the review was done, I decided, I think I mentioned it in the podcast, once the podcast's over, I'm going to look into Memento Mori, because the lyrics in that seem a lot deeper than the rest.
Yeah.
Gone with the Wind, yes, but Memento Mori seems like something special about it.
It's been the hardest one for them to play.
So Sam's only listened to it once since Tom died.
Yeah.
And I really want them to play it on tour, but at the same time, I only want them to play it when they're ready. But I feel like Tom would want them to play it, but I don't know Tom.
They're
so
respectful.
I feel wrong, so it's like Schrodinger's Memento Mori. I want it to be played, but also don't play it unless you want to. So I researched into it. So this goes into one of the questions was like, does researching help you like a band more? So
in this particular case,
fucking yes. So I really liked Memento Mori. All Our Gods. I gave it I think 8 out of 10 in the end, and that was before I researched anything into it. Now I looked into Memento Mori's lyrics, and that led me on to. I got obsessed with that song because I'm still obsessed with that song. It's a fucking amazing song. I decided to look into the lyrics. There's Alan Watts speeches in there, in the middle part and the end part. So I looked into Alan Watts, and I started looking into loads of articles about what it meant, kind of thing, and kind of got a weird obsession with Tom. So because of looking into it, I found that obviously these quotes may have helped Tom deal with his cancer and made him really accept it's happening.
So he was diagnosed with melanoma in the leg. Was it in his leg?
Leg cancer. Yeah. And yeah, it was like a random little spot or mole, and they thought that was weird. And checked it out a couple of weeks later, and that's when he found out. What's also kind of so it was open to the world when he first had cancer. They mentioned it. They have something called cancer, obviously MCR. And then when it went into remission, the band didn't mention it. They said we're going to fight this silently and alone, kind of thing. There's even a DVD, The Making of Lost Together, Lost Forever, and The Making of All Our Gods. And Tom is really gaunt and thin, and there's comments there. I think I even went to the obsession level of looking through his Twitter to see some of his tweets before he died, and one of his tweets was, "Will people stop asking how thin I am now?" kind of thing, or along those lines. And I was like, "Well, that's fucking deep," because he knows his cancer.
Yeah.
He knows he's dying, and everyone else is like, "Oh, he looks a bit skinny," and not really thought anything further to it.
Yeah.
That
It's fucked, really, isn't it?
It is.
I suppose such is the woes of dealing with it sort of under the radar, though. If you've been sort of open about it at one point and then decided, right, we're going to sort of take this under our own radar now and we're going to deal with it ourselves, kind of thing.
It's a totally respectable choice.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they're right to do so. It's just at the same time, I feel like perhaps because people already knew about it, that's never going to go away, really, is it? Even if you sort of tell people, like, yeah, I'm in remission now, everything's clearing up. Or like, no, they didn't say that, did they?
No.
I'm assuming that the story surfaced that his cancer had cleared, or...
Yeah, I think they probably announced it was cleared. Yeah, and that was that. And then the next thing they heard about the cancer was that he, the Facebook post on the day of his death, or the day after his death.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So,
So
running through the rest of your questions.
So has the writing style changed? We don't know too much. We've only heard Raw Beggars, where you can check out our first ever reaction video.
Fucking yeah, mate.
Yeah, on Facebook and YouTube. Now. And but yeah, so we've heard Raw Beggars and Hereafter. Now Tom was the writer of
Yes, and it is fair to say that I think that they're going to try and nail his writing style as much as possible, because in said statement that I mentioned earlier, they did say that they don't want to release any music that they don't think Tom would have been incredibly proud of.
Correct, yeah.
So
Sam has said in Kerrang magazine that he has let Dan do his thing.
Yeah.
He will sing what parts he's asked to. He will do whatever. He is their guy to just do what he's told, which is respectful from a vocalist that's been in the band for years.
Mm-hmm.
Dan is the last member that
Last founding member.
Yeah, which I was surprised to find out. I thought a couple of them have been in there, like maybe Ali. I know Josh Middleton, who has replaced him, formerly of Silosis, well, technically still of Silosis. He spoke at Tom's funeral. He was really close with the band, so that's why I think it's been a bit easier for them to go. You toured with us anyway after Tom's death. You
jump back in
permanently.
Yeah.
So writing style has changed. So it's Dan is writing the lyrics now.
Yeah. Which
pretty much all of them are him, if not all.
I think, obviously, like we said earlier, we've got very little to go on, but I think he's doing all right.
Hereafter, if I didn't know Architects, I would have assumed the same person wrote Gone with the Wind as they did Hereafter.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, they're brothers here. Tom obviously taught him a lot. Now, in terms of guitar parts, I know Josh has written some. The guitar riff of Hereafter, Sam announced, he won't say who wrote what for the whole album, but he will say that Josh did some writing, and that riff from Hereafter is Josh.
Right.
And it sounds beastie as fuck. So the writing style has changed, but this looks like it's going in a similar path.
Yeah.
Royal Beggars was very different, but I don't want to judge that on just 2 songs released so far.
Definitely not. We'll have to wait until new album, which is early next year.
Next month.
Next month.
Yes.
Fuck.
I think it's the 14th actually, so mid-month.
There you are.
Very excited. Which I think is the same day I've seen Prodigy, and it's going to be weird listening to Architects all day long.
You're going to see them early next year?
I'm going to see them in January, yeah.
Right, okay.
So again, I kind of covered it on my own experiences from like looking into him accepting death and all that stuff. But a fan's urge to delve into the facts, so that's that covered. We've talked about how researching into one's death can help you get into a band. It fucking worked for me.
Yeah.
I feel like if we did this podcast 2 years ago and we reviewed Lost Together, Lost Forever or Daybreaker, I may not have checked them out again. I may have gone, oh yeah, they're pretty good. But because of this, because I've got this fixation now, I've gone back to listen to those 2 albums, and I'm going to go to Hollow Crown soon, which is
scary,
exciting but scary because apparently it's fucking a lot heavier.
Have you actually started listening to
Daybreaker?
No, the one before.
The Here and Now?
Yes, the one.
No, I need to do that next. Actually, I forgot about that. Yeah. So next person.
Yeah. So I mean, that's fair to say then that this is like your sort of personal experience with this medium of questions.
Yeah,
that's fair. Chris Cornell then.
Chris Cornell. So I've never been a fan. I've never really liked his voice, so I can't really judge.
Crazy, absolutely fucking nuts. Soundgarden, massive following. Wouldn't go as far as to say that they're sort of like cult following, that kind of level, but massive nonetheless. Again, bands like Nirvana having success sort of paved the way for bands like Soundgarden to make their mark. And they sort of underwent a lot of writing changes over the years anyway. If you listen to the difference between songs like Rusty Cage and then listen to Black Hole Sun, for example, they're very different sort of, just the whole feel is incredibly different. Now, obviously, it's very recent news that we will be researching and bringing to you guys next week. But the rest of the band have said, Soundgarden, that is, have said that they would like to work together again.
Yeah, they're open to continuing.
Whether or not that will be under the same alias, I very much doubt. I don't think
it'd be weird if it was.
I don't think they'll carry on as Soundgarden. They'll probably start a new project with a different name. But still, I mean, is it fair to say then that they are carrying on just with a different name? Is that fair?
I mean, new name, new band, I guess. If they've made the absolute choice to go on without him under a different name, though, I don't really see it as... Yeah, it's tough. It's a very thin line.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I guess lay him on me.
So obviously the band didn't continue. The change in writing style hasn't happened, if it is going to happen. Oh, crikey. So, that's questions for the end. New band member was not needed as of yet. Popularity rising? No, I don't think so. I haven't noticed it whatsoever.
I haven't noticed the spike in Soundgarden's popularity at all. That said, I haven't noticed the dip either.
Neither.
Again, I think they're not quite like sort of cult following, but they've got their dedicated fan base.
Yeah, I don't really hear about them much on my timeline.
No,
like
no.
But of course, they obviously they do have their dedicated fans across the world. Now this fans' urge to delve into facts is fairly high on this one because it was a suicide.
Yep.
They always want to know why, how depressed was he, kind of thing. With his wife saying she doesn't believe it was suicide, she believes it was murder. That all coming out was obviously a thing to look into.
So essentially, with that was she basically Cornell's security guard, wasn't it? That she was basically saying. The police have checked all of this out though, and they've like sort of built a timeline from the call that she had with Chris, his wife, in which he was basically saying, I'm just tired, and then hung up on her, which obviously would make anybody worry when they know what kind of struggles the guy's dealing with. Who that sort of like prompted her to phone the security guard straight away, who then basically couldn't get into his hotel room. Because he'd locked it from the inside. He had a key, but he'd locked it from the inside. And the hotel staff basically refused to open the door, even though he said, I work for him. He's my employer. I have a key. So, I mean, there is a lot of question marks over that. The hotel staff having a lot to do with it. The security guard himself was obviously because of... It took like 40 minutes from that phone call to the paramedics arriving at scene. It took like 40 minutes or so, so there's like question marks over all of that as well. And yeah, I just don't think she really helped things by publicly announcing that she thought it was a murder.
No, maybe not.
That's me personally.
No, I think like it's something that should be looked into, but I guess there's always going to be a conspiracy, but it's just a bit weirder when the conspiracy or the thought process is from the wife of the victim.
Yeah.
So that's that for Chris Cornell. Going on to Chester.
Chester Bennington.
So the same thing, we'll stick on the same topic for now of fans' urge to delve into it.
I mean, for the fact that they were close and they both died of the same manner in exactly the same way, and Chester took his life on Chris Cornell's what would have been 53rd birthday.
Yeah.
I think that in itself just sort of relit a fire in Chris Cornell's case, and yeah, I think the same sort of fan group that looked into Chris Cornell's suicide were bound to look into Chester's, so I would say that was just as high, if not maybe even higher. Linkin Park definitely were a bigger band.
Yeah, Linkin Park obviously one of the biggest bands
Ever.
in our genre ever, yeah. Or in any genre really.
Yeah.
And so there's a conspiracy going around about Chester. And it's that he was murdered because he was going to reveal part of the paedophile ring in Hollywood. I don't know how far I'll look into it. I looked into it and it came out. It wasn't something I dismissed straight away, but I find it very odd that Chester would be in the know of paedophiles in Hollywood. But there's lots of those rumours going around in a minute.
Fair.
There was a sick cunt troll who hacked Talinda's Facebook, his wife's Facebook, or maybe it was Chester's. I want to say it was Talinda's. Days after his death,
right,
and said how she was a horrible person and had been cheating on Chester. I'm not sure if this person wrote it as if she was saying it, as saying I'm a horrible person, I cheated on Chester.
So like making like a
that she was hacked and it was not her posts.
Right, okay.
That's fucked up for anyone to do that.
Yeah, massively.
You're a knob.
Why would somebody just do that off their back though?
Because people like having fun by being a cunt.
Yeah.
Ollie Sykes started a band from it. No change in lifestyle. They haven't decided they're continuing or not. I can't see it happening.
No.
They've had one gig since, which was the memorial gig with like 10 different vocalists or so.
Yeah.
And that was pretty fucking emotional to watch.
It would be too weird with just Mike Shinoda.
Yeah, or even another singer.
Yeah. It's lost that feel for the same reason that Avenged probably found it quite difficult to find a drummer that sort of fit their bill.
Yeah.
They're not going to find a vocalist.
Vocalists are probably always going to be the hardest ones to replace.
100%, yeah. I mean, if M Shadows had passed away and not the Rev, that would be a very different story.
Yeah, I don't think Avenged would be around. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I mean, Rev could have taken lead vocals.
He wouldn't have.
Don't know.
I just don't think so. And even then, it would have changed the feel of the band, and that's kind of inconsistent with what they're trying to do.
Indeed.
So I'm not too sure really. I don't think they would have ever have worked.
There's no rise in popularity for Linkin Park, in my opinion, or no drop either.
No, absolutely not.
Although maybe a tad, only because of Heavy, One More Like album.
Yeah,
a lot of people hate it, myself included.
You go back and listen to it now though, and a lot of it makes sense.
I haven't really listened to it. I've listened to Heavy like once since, and that's it. But my hatred for that album lowered. I didn't realize it was basically a suicide note. So that is in fact that for Chester. Unless you got anything else to say?
No.
Who's next on your list?
Mikyo.
So yeah, this one's a weird one. So Baby Metal are a manufactured band. They are not mates that came together. They were chosen by people to play together, probably not knowing each other whatsoever.
Yeah.
But you guys are playing in a band. Okay, great. You'll be successful. Okay, cool.
So Baby Metal is actually in reference to the what were three girls.
And the backing band.
Backing band is a different thing entirely. So that's why if you look at like tweets that were like rest in peace for their guitarist, it's like Baby Metal and their backing band, basically.
Okay.
Which is, I found that quite interesting. I always thought Baby Metal was the whole band, the whole thing. But
yeah, I find it a bit disrespectful to the band, to be honest. But...
I do. I really do. I really can't stand it. Well, like, when the Police became Sting and the Police, it's like, alright, get out of your own arsehole.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I agree. I think it is disrespectful. But because of that, because I get the feeling if it was one of the three girls, this would be blown up all over the world. Because it's the backing band and it's not Baby Metal.
Yeah.
There's very little information about it other than the fact that he was stargazing and fell off an observation deck. Yeah. Sustained injuries, loads of internal bleeds. Internal bleeds. He bled forever.
So
talking about being disrespectful. I'm a cunt.
You can run down this pretty quickly. Did the band continue? Yes, with no second thought.
Yeah.
How noticeable was the change in writing style? It wasn't. There was no change because they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
If the band found a new member, how easy was it? Probably easy. I'm not saying there's no mourning. I'm sure like they became friends in the band.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sure they mourned,
when a band is like slung together by a producer and a director or whatever,
yeah, there's no lifetime bond behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a one-trick pony thing, is it? They can do the same shit again.
Yeah. Was there a rise in popularity? No, there wasn't a drop either. They're just
carrying on the same fucking trajectory that they're on.
Yep. And was there a fan's urge to delve into facts? Yes, but on a minimal scale. I'd like to know what happened, kind of thing. It's not like, oh, this is insane.
There's no conspiracy theory around it. There's no like weirdness around it. It's literally just the few people that's pretty much it. Sophie Ray says, I feel like in this case it's more to separate the music from the vocals to try and get both groups of people to try new things. Yeah.
In the case of Baby Metal?
Possibly. I mean, I would say that's still disrespectful, really, because without the backing band,
it would be shit.
Nobody would go and listen to Baby Metal if it was just the girls singing.
The backing band is sick as well.
They are. They're really fucking good. Like, he was one of the most well-known guitarists in Japan. So there you have it. Bullshit.
Cut the bullshit.
Ollie. We finish with Ollie Herbert.
Ollie Herbert. We don't finish with Ollie Herbert. We finish with Vinnie Paul. No, we do finish with Ollie Herbert. We start with Vinnie Paul before.
Yes.
So Vinnie Paul. He obviously more notable. We're not going to mention Pantera because his death has not given a rise, or death in Pantera. It's been
it's the same shit. It's the same shit.
14 years or 15 years since Pantera broke when he died. But Hell Yeah have decided they haven't said about continuing. There was a rumor that who was it? I can't remember who it was, but the rumor that someone was going to drum for them instead.
Oh, really?
And they've debunked that rumor, saying no, that's not the case.
Oh, right, okay.
And they said we're not sure what we're doing yet. They're still grieving. It's only been 4 or 5 months. 4 months. And
so how long had Hell Yeah been together as a band?
Hell Yeah, been 7, 8 years maybe.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's actually the 22nd today. It is, so it's exactly 4 months since his death. And there hasn't been a rise in popularity or drop in Hell Yeah, to my knowledge.
No.
But a lot of people shit on Hell Yeah anyway. I like them. They got one really fucking great song. It's their softest song, to be fair. But they're good fun live. I've met Vinnie Paul, luckily, at Crawford Arms in Melt Unkind.
And that was when?
2014,
Okay.
I think. Maybe 2015. So yeah, no real rise in popularity.
I wouldn't have said so.
No real drop. And not many people look into it. He died of natural causes. Well,
pretty much.
Natural as possible, kind of thing. So yeah, that's basically that.
So then we do move on to Ollie. And I think, considering that I know All That Remains are a fairly big band.
Yeah. Especially their genre anyway.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to make like British headlines.
Yeah, BBC.
Yeah, I really didn't anticipate that. And to be fair, I mean, I know that he's supposed to be quite like a well-known force within he's like quite a well-known guitarist of Northeast America. Like apparently he's like been dubbed by quite a few people as like sort of changing the scene for them a bit out there and like sort of being a bit of a pioneer, which is something I didn't know as well. If anybody that watches this has any more information on Ollie,
Cool Childline.
Whoa, killer. But yeah, so I mean, there's not much information to really go on in his death at the minute, but it is being quite heavily looked into. It
is. I'm sure. Yeah, none of this we can answer. We don't know if they're going to continue. Don't know if the writing style's going to change. We can say that I can assume people are going to, like, once more details are out. Like he was found in a pond. People probably look into his death.
Yeah.
Especially if it comes out as suspicious. It may just be the fact he got drunk, went outside and fell into his pond. That happens, unfortunately.
Maybe. More on that story as it develops.
To cap up the overall topic, going down these questions, whether a band continues isn't really relevant. It's down to personal choice. I feel like.
I feel like it depends on who.
Yeah, I agree. Again, vocalist is probably the hardest to replace.
But Alice in Chains did it.
Yeah, exactly. It can be done. So, yeah, it really depends. I think the fan base helps a lot. Avenged said thank you so much to the fan base. Architect have said the fan base helped a lot.
Yeah.
So that's that. In terms of continuing, writing styles again depends on who it is. Paul Gray, Tom Sell, The Rev, Lane Staley were all writers in those bands. Some people like Mickey O weren't. So it really depends on the person. There's always going to be a change in writing style if the writer dies, because you can't replicate it exactly.
No.
You can learn a lot from them.
I mean, I think Dan comes very close with Tom Sell's case. I think he's fucking nailing it so far, really. He's doing pretty good.
I'm so excited for that one.
But there will be, like, for a diehard fan, there will be, like, a really minor difference that somebody that has been there from day one till the very end will be able to sort of spot out, I reckon. So I basically agree with you, even in the case where it's extremely close. I agree that it can never be sort of like fully
Yeah. I'll leave that question till the end. So finding new members is easy or hard. I mean, it's going to be hard for every band, but sometimes it can be easy in others.
Yeah.
Some people don't do it. Fans urge to look into it. That really depends on your circumstances as a fan as well as the band.
Yeah, and whether like circumstances around the death itself.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, so the main question, before I go on to what I think is the last one, the main question is the rise in popularity. That's how death affects music in terms of that. It can alter with each band, but there seems to be a trend where it seems to rise it more.
Yeah, I would say that the trend being that it either seems to not do anything, or maybe like slightly one way or slightly the other, or a massive spike. So yeah, I think it's perhaps fair to say, maybe with a bit more like research into a few other ones that we haven't covered today would uncover perhaps more of the answer to that. But
I just think, especially for like mid to rising to high bands, like I said, bring up bittersweet again. That bittersweet thing of death is that it brings people hear about you because of the death. You're hitting national headlines, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're hitting BBC, even for a band like All That Remains.
Which I was fucking shocked about.
Yeah, really shocked. So either way, you're going to get more traction because you're in the news. They say any publicity is good publicity.
Not always. I guess not.
No.
Guess not.
But for the band's popularity, it seems to be a trend that, for the most part, it helps their popularity.
Craziness.
Yeah. And
so
overall, the last question that I've got is to combine. So, does the type of death? So going over, we've got cancer, we've got suicide, we've got murder. Does the type of death affect things differently to another type of death?
Yeah.
Think
100%.
So,
I would not research into Lemmy's death until today for this purpose. So I've obviously done a bit of research for a purpose-driven sort of thing, but I wouldn't, when it came out that he had died, it's like, wow, fucking hell. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already in that particular case, really, but just as surprised with Ozzy Osbourne. That it hasn't.
Who is still alive. Tune in next week to find out if that's still the same.
It fucking will be. That guy's got a fucking deal with the devil, I'm sure. But yeah, definitely. I think it does. Because it's fair to say, obviously, so Tom's death has been of natural causes, quote unquote. And that has sparked a lot of people to research into it because of the choices that the band made to keep the remission under the radar. So I think that was more of like a shocker thing. And you look at things like tweets and like comments on the band's Facebook post that they did after his death and that. And everyone is saying exactly the same thing. Like, they're shocked. Yeah. They were shocked that it was... And that can spark research into that. So...
Absolutely. Like, something I forgot to mention with Architects and Tom's case is that they are the only band on here where they wrote the album, or in this case, All Our Gods, knowing he was dying. Obviously, you get a lot of tribute albums, which we're about to go into, Nightmare Review, that are written after death, but this was written as a tribute before he died. But even though Holy Hell will still be a massive tribute to him as well.
Yeah.
But this is him, right, I'm dying, I'm going to write this. So he was in that dark place knowing what was happening until he wanted to let it all out, and made, in my opinion, from what I've heard, the best music they've ever made. Yeah,
definitely. And it paints a picture as well. I mean, even right down to the album title, when you think about it, all our gods have abandoned us, kind of thing. Like, this shit is about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about it. And then they are now living in holy hell, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's painting a picture, and it's... Sadly, that is probably gonna aid the album's, like, how well it's, like, critically received, because it's a story. There's a story behind it. There's more to sink your teeth into than just the music.
Yeah, it's fact. It's no fiction involved. It's how they were feeling.
So yeah.
So, do you have any final questions on the topic?
No. I mean, I think we've covered it all as best as possible.
Yeah. So we can easily say that death affects music in multiple ways, and you can never predict how it's going to affect a band when it happens.
No, absolutely not. And the ones that you think will go a certain way will probably go another.
Yep. So. Oh.
No.
Hello, boys. We go on to a very, very short, I'm lying, review of 2010's Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold.
And it is worth pointing out that I am sat on a sofa with the biggest Avenged Sevenfold fan I've ever met, and this is the first one that we have ever done.
I've waited 24 episodes to do this. Isn't it exciting?
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah. So, really, really fucking poor album, to be honest.
Yeah.
Don't cut it there. That would be awful.
Cool.
No, so let's start off in our usual way of track by track.
Yeah. So, Nightmare. I feel like I've probably written a lot less and will go into less detail because I don't know as much of the facts around it. So, for this one time, I know we like to alternate and stuff, but for this one time, should I say my little bit on it and then you can give me the actual hardcore facts on every track as we go?
So you do the whole album, I do the whole album?
No, we'll just go song by song, but
cool.
I'll read my little bit out. So for Nightmare, fucking haunting opening. Love it. What a way to start an album, quite frankly. And I actually think that Mike kills it on the drums, to be honest. And it is a fitting ode to the Rev, in my opinion.
Yeah, so for those that somehow do not know, this was released about 7 months after Reb's death. Written with him, for the most part, and some things mentioned, just like I mentioned before. I haven't seen Daniel Loftus' name in years. You have him on Facebook? Is that your friend?
No.
No? Well, maybe I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He's your friend. Okay, cool. I remember Craig's. Anyway, back to the podcast that we're doing, sorry. So,
Hi, guys.
Right from the get-go, you can tell that this is going to be a dark fucking album.
Yeah, 100%.
I use the exact phrase as you. You can tell it from the title name of the album, Nightmare, and obviously
And the
track
artwork.
title. And yeah, of the artwork of the fucking person
The
fucking
fucking
scared with the
artwork.
Forever logo, which is fucking beautiful. So yeah, it's the same phrase as you. The haunting opening sounds of the title track. The drumming is great on this track. The drum work complements the light melodics over the chorus.
100%, yeah.
And the section towards the end where it's like fight not to fail, blah 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 blah. The pounding drums there just work absolutely perfectly.
Yeah. I think this is what makes me think it's a fitting ode to the Rev, really, because I feel like it accentuates all of the parts that he would have.
The Nightmare was one of the tracks where he had the full drums laid out. So Mike is replicating on this track. This is the Rev drums,
Excellent.
but Mike playing them.
Right, okay.
So lyrically, you can see that the band is struggling to cope with this.
And through the video
Sudden
as well.
loss. Yeah, the video for sure. Yeah, that bit at the end. Oh. So Sid and Zaki's guitar work is utterly impressive on this track. Beautiful work.
100%.
Welcome to the family.
Fucking great song to see live. I can say that now. And it's made sort of coming back and listening to it on the album feel different. I would say in a positive way. I can't think of any negative ways that it's different, put it that way.
What, since seeing live, I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like it was one of those songs that when I listened to the album in full before, which I have only done a handful of times, because as a drummer, I'm not a big Avenged fan, but as a drummer, I found that quite hard, really, because it was the double bass fill in Blinded in Chains that got me even playing drums in the first place.
I love that fucking feel.
For this to happen, for him to die, and for there to be an album not too long afterwards was quite hard going for me, and I wasn't even a fan. Do you know what I mean? Like, not like a diehard fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking listening to it live and then listening to it on the album, it's just like shit. Because it brings back, it has the ability to bring back what Download felt like, and that was just sick. I loved that, to be honest. And the drums in the opening, so cool.
Yeah, so I love the
Everything.
yeah, pretty much. So we're both fans of tracks that lead into tracks.
Yeah.
And the whole end of Nightmare was like,
Yeah.
was like, okay, that was like 0 to fucking 100, and I love the transition there.
Yeah, that's a kick in the nuts.
Love the lead from Nightmare to the awesome drum solo for this song. Sick solo. Towards the end of the track. The lyrics focus on losing their minds, having no one to reach out to, yet being in it together. Fun fact.
Yeah, man.
Well, lyrics are actually down to
Assaded.
Yeah, lyrics are open to interpretation, of course, but that's what I got from it.
Definitely.
Danger Line.
So I'm not gonna lie, this actually up until now has always been one of my least favourite on the album.
What is your next? Sorry, I'm so funny.
Keep your opinions to yourself, boy. No, don't. That's what we're here for.
Opinionated podcast.
Yeah, I know.
That's
100%.
my opinion.
But up until now, I literally have a fucking overwhelming sense of appreciation for it now. So yeah, not too sure why that is. I'm not sure if it's listening to it with a critical ear, if it's seeing them live, and just having an appreciation for them as a band that's on a different level now. It is the reason why I've always wanted to see them live and only got the chance to this fucking year. But there you have it.
So this is, as an overall song, one of the lower ones on the album for me.
Which still means nothing.
No, exactly. It's not the lowest.
Interesting.
But there are certain parts in this song which have me captivated.
Okay.
So the song's partially focused on war, which is kind of like a thing that they do every album since
Yeah.
City of Evil. They had MIA, Gunslinger.
Gunslinger.
Um,
Gunslinger.
Yes, bam.
Wham
sexy.
bam, thank you, ma'am.
Vocal parts hit hard with M on the verse. On the vocal parts towards the end, like those end few parts. There's one particular moment where he's outright about, like, he's on the verge of crying, and you can tell from his vocals, and that's fucking hard to listen to, of course. So it's the lyrics. Think of the times spent laughing away. Is obviously a push to think past the morning. It's to think about the happier times.
To try and make it more of like a memory, like a loving memory.
Yeah,
Of
exactly.
just like, we are in a shit place right now. And yeah, you really get that, and that's what the danger line is, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't want to be pushed over the limit. So, Avenged are known for not being religious. They do point out in the song that they hope there is a God. Because I think a lot of people, like in death, they hope there's something out there. Like, if you don't believe in God anyway, obviously people that believe in God believe in God.
It helps mourning.
Yeah, they hope something's out there that they're going to somewhere better, kind of thing. So they push the point that they hope there is a God for their fallen friends. The closing lyrics are the two words "I'm free," which symbolises the road's passing. Whistling closes the track, which is a bit weird when it first heard. However, I kind of feel like it works.
Nothing really sticks out on the album as that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's a couple of like, oh, okay, but
cool,
yeah,
like kind of things. It's just like, okay.
So it seems I've been buried alive.
Yeah, I think that's a bit weird to go into a track called "Buried Alive." Like, we hope there's something better out there. Buried Alive. However, among my favourites on the album, lyrically, one of my favourite Avenged songs altogether.
Lyrically, it's one of the best songs on the album.
Yeah,
I fucking love it. It's got a perfect combination of the soft ballad beginning all the way up until like the fourth quarter. Sorry.
I just love it. The whole thing lyrically,
just fucking beastie, man.
Literally, like, I could sit there and just hinge myself on the lyrics entirely.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those songs that I would quite happily listen to with the isolated vocals.
Yeah. Fair.
But that's me.
That's nice.
What kind of juicy nuggets of info have you got on you?
Juicy maggot of info. Oh, it's funny lad. Hey, bonny lad. Yeah, so for me it's a perfect combination of soft ballads into a heavy as fuck ending. It's obviously a song about being stuck, not being able to do anything about the situation. The end could possibly be perceived to be the devil talking, as taking souls even from those still alive.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Kind of like, sorry to deviate, but Inside the Fire by Disturbed, where it's like the whole song is like a conversation between him and the devil. Is that kind of feel? Yeah,
so I've never really thought about it this way, so that's why I'm specifically saying it's possibly perceived that way. So I don't even know, but it's the first time I've listened to it and gone, well, those lyrics could mean that. I always look into lyrics anyway, but I never really thought about another side of it. Because that heavier vocals was like, gladly take your soul, blah, 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 blah. So, Natural Born Killer.
Yeah. Another really fucking strong one for me. Musically, brutal. I would say it's up there on the album for me. It's up there. I'm not going to lie. I've got a couple of favourites for different reasons. I'm sure you can guess. And this was up there, but not quite on that level.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So Cowbell. Yep. It has a cowbell in it.
Cowbell. Yep.
Literally wrote cowbell. Yep. So that intro with the drums and the guitar, that little cowbell.
Yeah.
It's another weird thing like the whistling, but it just fucking works and it sounds great.
It could be like the little bell of a symbol. I don't know. Is it definitely a cowbell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep, I have researched it. Don't question my facts. How now, Panther?
Right, so
what the fuck was that?
I don't know.
So far away.
No, not finished Natural Born Killer yet. Hold your horses. We're still even further than that away. Right, so probably the most underrated track on the album. This does not get enough recognition.
Do you think?
Yeah, Natural Born Killer. Like, you don't hear about it enough. Like, you hear about Nightmare.
How often do they play it?
They have never played it. Ever.
Wow.
They won't play it either, because I saw on a Reddit, AMA, Ask Me Anything, someone said, why don't you play Natural Born Killer? It's like, we're not really massive fans of the song.
Wow.
I was like, what the fuck? Live. So yeah, this track doesn't focus too much on the death of Jimmy. I feel like it's one of the main tracks that steers away from it.
Mm.
It's
Yeah, I agree.
it still tells the story of like killing and loss of life as a whole, not wanting to leave, especially being unknown.
Yeah.
They've got a reference at the end to die unknown would crush the fish lens we all see through. Like everyone wants to die being someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my little factoid of Natural Born Killer.
Natural Born Killer. So far away. So I literally just put a sad face next to this because I figured that we would talk about this. This is one that we don't need to write shit down. We're just...
I wrote down because I had facts and I wanted to make sure
100%.
I covered everything. But yeah, go fire away, sir.
I mean, it is... So it's worth pointing out that I don't have a favourite, like one singular favourite on this album.
Okay. Oh, that's a tough question.
I do... This is like one of my favourites. I think is the only fair way to say it. It's my favourite for one certain reason or another. Just that it is definitely like the biggest tribute to him. The video catches me every fucking time. Like when the little soft rolls on the snare start coming in and the footage of him as like a teenager and stuff starts coming in, and then yeah, leading into that fucking solo is just too much.
I'm blasting the way home and just listen to it again.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Mate.
Yeah, it's deep as fuck. So before I go into the song, the video, as you mentioned, the first half of it are they got like the higher set of kids, like different ages of kids, like 3 sections of kids, all the same age, but different ages from each section. I know what I'm saying. And they kind of acted them out in like Orange County and them as kids.
Robbing fucking liquor stores and
which
shit.
he did, yep.
Cheeky bugger.
And then the second half is where it turns into
Real footage.
collage,
like,
basically, of photos and clips of
and
the
that's
Rev.
fucking hard.
It is very hard. There's one photo right towards the end where it's sitting and the Rev are like hugging or something, kind of like, that's just a fucking deep photo. Now, I remember in my youth, in 2010, I would go, I say youth, I was like 19. I would,
Younger than we feel now.
yes, most certainly. I had no internet at home, so I went up the city to iTunes, ready for the release of the song.
Wow.
Because it's me and I do things I need to do to survive in life. And I released it, and it was great fun. And I say great fun, I mean, I kind of just watched it silently, just amazed. And it hits that last bit, I was like, okay, this is emotional as fuck. And then, like, the term I was left speechless is thrown around more than it's realistically actually done. But I went to talk after it happened. I was
Were you with people then?
I can't remember. I may have been with my ex. She has a name. We don't talk about her. No, I'm joking. Her name's Haley. Yes.
Excellent.
I was with Haley at the time. So I just went to speak and nothing came out. And I was like, and eventually obviously I said, that was insane. That was intense as fuck. I think I watched it again straight away. I don't remember. I did. Right. So, like, my memory is suddenly telling me these answers. Now, then, onto the actual song.
Yeah, so you said that you've got facts.
I've got facts and opinions, so perfect.
Perfect for a podcast.
Yes. What more do you want? So yeah, a perfect tribute to the Rev. So the Rev heard this song
Right.
before he died, which some people don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know actually. So yeah,
I definitely don't know that. What?
yeah, the Rev heard it before he died. I've heard parts of it before he died.
Okay.
So this is the first ever song Sinister Gates wrote. Okay, so he originally wrote it for his grandfather who died before the Rev, and he showed the Rev's part of the song. When the Rev died, he scrapped the grandfather deal, and it was solely about the Rev. There were obviously changes to it and lyrics, like lyric changes, but that was originally heard by the Rev. Parts of it, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm gonna throw out some lyrics here because I can. A perfect chapter laid to rest is just such fitting lyrics, man. It is, of course, about coping without Jimmy, questioning everything in the world,
Yeah.
and just wanting him back. Lay away a place for me because as soon as I'm done, I'll be on my way to live eternally. Really shows that they just want to be back with him. And the pain is strong and urges rise. So yeah, the pain is strong and urges rise. This is what I kind of mentioned earlier. Those are very important lyrics. Take them how you want. I'm not going into it. So again, being vague, I'm giving you half a dick and not spurting out. But that is my analogy for the day.
Excellent.
But yeah,
that's imagery that I just really could do without.
Yeah, probably I shouldn't say it. My mum watches this. Keep forgetting about that.
Hi, Carol.
Oh, weird. So yeah, sorry. Pain is strong, urges rise are very important lyrics. I think, however, I've never speculated out loud and don't want to hear. Yeah, that's what I wrote. Same goes for your pain is gone, your hands untied. That's another deep possible lyric of something. Anyway, trying not to be vague as possible. Aside from me being the biggest fan in the world, right? It really is a beautiful and perfect tribute. I've listened to this song probably, definitely hundreds of times, maybe even into the thousands.
Wow. You are a stronger man than me.
When it first came out, obviously it was deep as hell, and for a long time, as it's been it's been 9 years this year. This December since he died. It's obviously become easy to listen to it.
Yeah.
Now I have never listened to it with a critical ear, like we are for reviewing. I could have easily written nothing and just spoke about the album for 10-15 minutes, but I thought I'm going to review it as if I'm reviewing it. So I actually had to take a break after this because it felt fresh again, proper deep, and yeah, wasn't keen, so I had to stop. But yeah, perfect tribute.
God Hates Us.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, most likely. Touching, to be honest. It is quite a touching song. Targets perhaps some of the pain that they're feeling as a band, and I just think it's really well written for that purpose.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation of it, obviously, but I would say that's probably quite fitting.
Yep, so this, for me, quite obviously focuses more on the anger.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mourning in this album, there's a lot of sadness, but this is the anger of why the fuck has this happened? I mentioned before, they're not religious, but they've still got a song called God Hates Us, and if there is a God out there, they're pissed that why would they do this to their friend who was young. So, another incredible song. It's great to hear Shadows back on the screaming vibe, albeit for the worst reasons.
Yeah.
The song is self-explanatory. It's about all of the anger at their friend's death and being angry at everything, including God, if there is one. More lyrics here lean to certain thought processes, such as mentioning the lyrics which were "Pills had a role, now there's nothing to take," obviously referring to the Rev's cause of death. The opening and closing soft melodic parts works perfectly as the calm before and after the storm.
Yeah.
The worst porn. The worst storm possible for these guys, which I think sounds incredible.
Yeah. Fair.
Superb.
Victim.
We've all been victims of a crime.
Possibly, again, one of my favourites on the album, besides So Far Away, and one that we will get onto in a minute. But yeah, I just, from start to finish, fucking immaculately written. I was quite interested to see who had more of a dealing in writing this one, so I'm hoping that you have some info.
I'm really glad you like it, because I wasn't sure what you thought of the song, and I think it is alongside Natural Born Killer one of the most underrated tracks on this album.
Yeah. It
doesn't get any recognition at all.
Did they not play this live either then? Wow. No. Fucking crazy.
They may have once. I feel like they haven't. So opening with the vocal parts of a woman wailing, and on top of the cowbell and the other thing I mentioned, the whistling, that's kind of unexpected, but it works. It goes into the song well. You can tell this is of a different vibe from the previous song of God Hates Us. The lyrics are very deep throughout, so a tape full of messages for anyone that cares, collage of broken words and stories full of tears. They're focusing on the pain really here. They feel like they say as victim of a crime. They feel like this is that bad. Like they are dealing with this death.
Yeah, almost as if it was like literally somebody had come and taken their friend away kind of thing.
Exactly that. Yeah. So the lyrics also really get me. Nothing is harder than to wake up all alone, realise it's not okay, it's the end of all you know. It's the end of all you know, sorry. So that's the other severely... Oh, that's lyrics that really jump out.
Yeah.
It's them just laying out their pain. So, mentioning the underrated tracks, the track is them pouring out all of their emotions, which is made even clearer with the echoes of Missing You at the end to close the song. Writing, I think it was just Shadows.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I know, most of it was Shadows on there. A lot of it was the Rev.
Yeah.
And Sin for So Far Away.
Fair.
But I think also they all came together more than ever writing this one. So Johnny and Zachy too.
Yeah. Cool.
Any more to say on that? No.
Tonight, the world dies. Guitar work is fucking sick. Sin outdoes himself on the haunting melodies throughout.
Cool.
I like the sort of not sort of overplaying. There's like he's not sort of he doesn't have his dedicated part in this. It's just him over like it could be Zachy as well. To be fair, both of them deserve plenty of recognition. But yeah, just the sort of the slides and stuff that just fit over the top of everything else just works really well.
Yeah. Right, brace yourself. It's actually my least favourite track on the album.
Fair enough.
Right, that's the worst. That's the end of the bad stuff about the album. But having said that, it does actually showcase, does the best job to showcase M Shadow's vocal range.
Yeah.
Some of the high notes on this song are impeccable.
Yeah.
Yes, ridiculously beautiful, I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Fiction. So this is definitely up there. It's a joint favourite of mine. Interesting that it was, if I'm not mistaken, and you will correct me, I'm sure, if I am, but the Rev's last song that he wrote and brought to the band.
Correct, Monday.
Lyrically fucking beautiful. The piano will forever stay stuck in my head each time I hear it.
Rev up. Yeah.
Literally, anytime I hear it. It's in my head now because I've listened to it again today.
Yeah.
And it never leaves.
No, that's fine.
It's not.
Okay, it's very dark morning again. So, I'll just do it as I wrote it. So, this writing was finalised for this song 3 days before the Rev's death. Writing started for this song in the 90s.
Fucking what?
Yeah, so it was going to be a song for his other band that he had in the 90s. And it was scrapped, and he brought it back for Nightmare.
Right.
So, lyrics. So emotional, man. Lyrics again give certain thoughts, such as opening lyrics of "Now I think I understand how this world can overcome a man," which are actually recorded and sung by the Rev.
Mm-hmm.
The demo was good enough when he recorded it to be on the actual album.
Yeah.
Which is obviously fucking great, especially
Haunting,
for this song
though,
as well.
fucking
Of course,
haunting.
yeah, man, for sure. Before the album came out, I was told, I wasn't told, I saw an interview because I read every single one they fucking release, that the Rev does have some vocals in it. If I was listening to that album and didn't know and that came on, I don't know how I would have reacted. But I still reacted like, fuck, that's insane.
Him and Shadows like really harmonise fucking well.
They sing together at the end, the first line of the end end verse as well. That sounds really well. There's that kind of thought that when it first came out that M Shadows was trying to keep to the Rev's tone when he's singing the bits going on by himself. I don't think so, but if it is the case, fair enough.
So fucking what?
Yeah, it's the Rev song. As mentioned earlier, there's a demo fully with him doing it, but it's not. If I don't want to release it, that's totally fine.
Is that all you got?
No.
Fair.
It's never enough. So yes, the reason for the name Fiction. So when it was brought to the table,
It was a nickname of his, wasn't it?
It was a nickname of his, yeah. So
A self-titled nickname of his, that is.
yeah, so the song was originally called Death.
Yeah.
He brought it to the table 3 days before he died.
Which is fucking weird.
It's kind of a sign it's like he knew something was going to happen, or like something was going to happen. Yeah. Again, I don't want to delve too much into that. Now,
personal reasons,
Fiction,
or...
no, just
reasons.
So Jimmy had a tattoo in red, just the word Fiction down his chest, and And the reason for that nickname was he always thought that if you explained his life to someone, they would just say that's total fiction. Like no one would believe the fact he lived in a laundromat where he worked when he was like 15 or 16 and that kind of stuff. So he just thought his life was fiction. He's gone through. He had a lot of stuff as well. So he's gone through a lot of stuff. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like he had a hard life. He obviously had parents that loved him. He had good friends. Kind of thing. He didn't have a hard family life whatsoever. Adam. My mouth gets so dry talking about this. It's so sad. I'm not gonna cry. I'm fine. I'm a real boy. I'm a real boy. So, this song feels like a release. In a way, this song feels like a release for the Rev. As if he knew he was going, like I said. Also a release for the band where they can cope with moving on without him. The lyrics, I know you'll find your own way when I'm not with you tonight, kind of give that vibe slightly.
Yeah.
Even though the Rev wrote it, so it kind of it could be seen either way. It's a bit strange. Superb song.
Yeah. Fucking, well, front to back, really.
Yeah. Save me.
No! Save yourself! Fucking, mate. Varying different vocals, and I really feel that like suits the music. It's a fitting close, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's a good chunk of a song.
Yeah, fucking a whole 10 minutes.
10 minutes 56 seconds.
And how many milliseconds, sir?
No. Let's not go too crazy.
Alright.
3 milliseconds.
Drumming is really good. Definitely fucking, well, as we just said, longest song on the album as well. And I like that Johnny Christ gets his own, like, little recognition there.
Oh, yeah.
Love
God,
that.
love it.
Love that she.
Love a bit of bass. So this opens with the Rev's last recorded vocal part. And it's just the short scream of the word skull. No idea what it means. No idea what it references to, but they throw it in there and fuck it, why not? So this album closer hits hard as much as most of the rest of the album does anyway. One particular lyric, and this is one of the lyrics of the whole album that stood out to me since it first came out, is when he's like, they say that all beauty must die, I say it just moves on. It's a fucking beautiful lyric. I love it. Absolutely beautiful lyrics. The closing moments of the song / album have M Showed repeatedly repeating, tonight we all die young. And I feel like that's obviously an ode to the Rev that he died young, he was only 28, but and also
like a part of them died with it.
Yeah, kind of like we're done kind of thing. This is the end of this era at least, but more that's for the band, but more for themselves. Yes, like they're not going to do the same again.
Mad.
Yeah, showing that the effects of death have on them with those lyrics.
Okay, fair. Do I even need to ask what rating you gave it, sir? Because I'm gonna guess and say.
Well, let's hear your one. You reviewed first. I'll end the little review on mine. So have you got like an overall little thing, or are you just going to go straight to the rating?
Well, I didn't write an overall down. I didn't actually write a rating down either. But if on the moment, I would say when it first came out, and I listened to it a couple of times front to back because it's Avenged, big band. I was definitely into. I wondered really more so like if they had picked a good replacement in Mike. And I did, and that answered my question back then. But as a whole, listening to the album back then was just kind of like, yeah, this is tough. This is more like work kind of thing. This is like quite difficult for me as a drummer to listen to. A drummer that takes inspiration from the Rev. That was really tough. So I literally only listened to it a couple of times back when it first came out and put it down. Listening to it again now with a critical ear, I would definitely say it's improved my sort of overall thing, but also seeing them live earlier this year improved my overall sort of thing with it as well. It does still have a couple of its like okay kind of moments, but I would give this a 9 out of 10.
Oh, I like it.
I know what you're going to
know less than 8. So overall, things you mentioned when you first heard it, obviously when first of all the track Nightmare came out, it sent chills down my spine. As mentioned before, biggest fan in the world of Avenged. The Rev was my idol. He was my god of gods, as I will. adored him, and I was so fucking sad when it happened, and still fucking sad now, knowing that we're not ever going to get music from him again. Fucking genius on the drums, his writing skill, his vocals were incredible. So overall, I've basically put it's just an excellent album.
Yeah.
However, I did not have a definite answer when I finished listening to it.
What, a rating?
A rating, yeah. It was between two numbers. Those two numbers are obvious.
9
and I have
10.
gone for the other one.
10.
It is a 10 out of 10 album.
Fair.
First time! It's not a surprise. I even wrote no surprise 10 out of 10. But the fact I had to think about it, like, Tonight the World Dies brings it down a tad. But the epicness throughout the whole album is so far, it's just...
It's a
I know
ode.
I'm biased because
It's a fitting ode.
it's me. But there are other 10 out of 10 albums there that aren't Avenged. And not all Avenged would have 10 out of 10. That's a fact.
100%.
10 out of 10 album.
Fair.
Fucking love it.
Fair fucking play.
Thanks for tuning in to the longest review ever.
Yeah, literally. But no, I mean, fact-driven review, and it's been quite educational for me. Hurry the fuck up with the rest.
What? Oh, right, okay. I thought you were the review. I was like, I finished.
No.
I finished.
No, the rest.
Yes, it's coming.
Yeah, when? Like, fucking...
This decade!
Maybe. This rate, maybe. But yeah, so hurry up, basically, because the world wants to know.
Yeah, that'd be a fucking long podcast.
Yeah, fucking will be. Tune in over the span of 3 weeks, guys. Cool, so that brings us to the end of this week's podcast.
Yes, before you go on to the actual outro, let me get some details for you. In case you weren't aware, you can find us on Facebook, if you're not already on Facebook watching us now, at facebook.com/Deciphered.
No fucking way.
If you're on just Facebook now, you can also find us on YouTube under the name Deciphered. On Twitter at Deciphered, at Instagram _Deciphered. And if you want to listen, every Tuesday we all upload this. If you just want to listen to our podcast without seeing our unbelievably sexy faces, you can find us on SoundCloud. Deciphered. Also, this week on Wednesday we didn't review, shit.
We didn't do nothing.
Our new member of our team, Liam, did a written review, and you can check that out on our Facebook page now. And on Friday we released our first reaction video of Architects Royal Beggars.
Yeah.
We will announce the next one for this Friday on Thursday on Instagram. Check out our Instagram.
Cool. So, without further ado, next week's topic, sir, is...
Bam, 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 bam.
Top 5 bands that we would love to manage and what we would do.
Excited.
I am fucking...
What do you think? More light-hearted than Death?
100%. I'm sure Death will make a reoccurring thing at some point in our trajectory because...
Next week we're reviewing the
miserable.
album by Death, the band.
We're not. Because
What are
it
we
is
doing?
my pick.
I'm excited to find out.
And we are going to review From the Fires by Greta Van Fleet.
Okay.
Oh, diddums.
Alright, fair enough.
Go in with an open mind. Fucking hell.
I've heard
So-
one of their songs, it sounded like... Oh, it sounded alright.
Oh, wow.
So
We
what was the
will
album,
fucking
sorry?
see. From the Fires.
From
Greta
the
Van
Fires.
Fleet.
I'll write that after the podcast done.
It's worth knowing that they have just released their first full-length album, which I will not
Oh, so
subject
it's
you
an EP,
to.
is it? Okay.
It's a long EP. It's a fairly decent-sized EP. There are some
Alright.
bands that have released albums that are this length.
Right, very, very, very...
Shysters. But it is really good. I feel, so far, in my opinion, like it's a better work than their album. But I haven't listened to their album enough. So I will do that, and maybe subject you to that at a later date.
Good.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a long one today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully we've got no one here waiting for us to finish, so it's okay.
It is. Ta-ta for now.
Bye!